Hey, what's happening, YouTube? Welcome to Gas Masks and Hand Grenades. Tonight, got a special guest. He's a masochist. He came back for more, but he did put a time limit kind of on me, so I've got to watch that. So we're gonna try and get him done before 11-ish or before 11. So but yeah, Tom Draper from Spirit Adrift is joining me tonight, and we're going to dig into, sir,
Queen, in my opinion, the greatest rock band there's ever been.
it's definitely one of, well, I would argue that Rush is better, but that's just me. But what can I say? But no, I mean, it's cool because this was one I've been wanting to do for a while, and I'm like, I'm gonna end up doing this kind of alone because a lot of my buddies, they like Queen, and like Rick's in the comments already. He said, "Welcome back, Tom." Rick's a big fan of Queen too, but he's the guy that does, by the way, all the artwork, and he did that killer Queen 2 arrangement of us,
Oh,
which I
thanks, that's really cool.
which I
Really cool.
yeah, you can see Tom's head right over Tom's head as
Yeah,
Brian May. You can't. He's covering up the prettiest guy, of course, me below him there. But yeah, now it was my concept, but Rick is the master of disaster, and he came up with the dive must go on because I think I had something else like I don't even remember what it was, but he came up that I'm like, dude, that's it right there. So, but and I think more people will be coming in because we're kind of conflicting with another channel that's running a metal related thing. But yeah, so we kind of jumped into the Queen thing because we're both huge Queen fans, and I have a little bit of an added advantage over you in that I kind of was into them before you were born,
yeah.
and we'll talk about that in a minute here. But a couple of quick housekeeping notes, real quick. Things upcoming. I have a interview with Ken Mary of Fifth Angel, Flotsam and Jetsam, Chastain, Impellitteri, man, Alice Cooper, tons of different bands. He's coming in. We're primarily going to talk about Fifth Angel, which is one of my all-time absolute favorite bands. We're going to talk about that, but we're going to hit on other stuff. That's the 6th of February at 11 a.m. He's out in Phoenix and wants to do it kind of early, and that should be really kick-ass. I've got Max Phelps coming in from Exist, Death to All, and Cynic. Think he's coming in the week of the 13th. I don't have a drop dead date on that yet. I've got Tim Bonas is supposed to be coming in too, and I think he'll be coming in either the week of the 6th or the following week too. And I've got a Bowie deep dive with my daughter Maddie that we've been pushing out because she started a new job and she was not feeling ready to go live at 5 sort of. So we're going to do that next Tuesday for sure. That's going to happen. So those of you that are in here, we're going to get started here. Tom, why don't you tell me, I'm going to blow you up here. Why don't you tell me about how you remember coming into Queen for the very first time?
It was when I was, as we say in the United Kingdom, primary school, probably in the
Ah,
US, that'd be elementary school. There was like a talent show or something, and a kid who was like a year or two below me got up and he mimed along to Bohemian Rhapsody. And I didn't know what this was going to be. Like, I was like, is he going to sing like some Hungarian like folk song or something? Like, what's
right.
Yeah, and it brought the house down, especially when like the heavy guitar bits kicked in, and I was like, wow, what was that? Probably 91 or 92. Then I think I probably saw Wayne's World around the same time. I, I spoke to my mum about this earlier because I remember we used to have a Queen cassette in the car. She thinks we probably picked it up as like a bootleg cassette very cheaply in a market in Turkey when we were on holiday. Because that
Mm,
was the way we got music when I was little, really, like because CDs and tapes were quite expensive. In Turkey, you could buy like a cassette tape of a current album, which was clearly not official, for like
right. Right.
50p or a pound. So we'd come back with 10 or 20 of those every time we came back from a summer holiday. And my mum is fairly convinced that Queen's Greatest Hits 1 would have been one of the first ones of those we ever got. And it just kind of blew up from there.
Does she still have the cassette? Do you guys still have it?
I doubt it. They've moved house.
Doubt it.
Like I don't have it. But I'm pretty sure that's where it came from. I listened the hell out of Queen's Greatest Hits Volume 1. The Freddie Mercury album he did with Montserrat Cabell, Barcelona, that tune especially. I remember listening to that a lot. And when I got my first CD player in about 1995, I think one of the first CDs I got was Made in Heaven.
Mm, mm. the last, theoretically or technically, the last CD that they put out posthumously. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, you're about 15 years younger than me, so it's kind of, well, 16 actually. So it's for me, the first memory I have of Queen. Oops, I gotta remove. Wait, what am I doing here? Exit solo. There we are. The first memory I have of Queen, pretty definitively, was News of the World, which would have been 77, I believe. And of course, We Will Rock You, and well, yeah, We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. That blew up on, AOR. Back then, we didn't have like metal channels, and it was just all rock channels. And I was growing up in Houston, Texas at this point in time. I just moved down there in 76. I kind of sort of remember You're My Best Friend. Ooh, you're making me live now, honey. I kind of remember that being on the radio and hearing that in the car. So that might have been the first Queen song I remember. I don't really remember like Keep Yourself Alive or even Bohemian Rhapsody. I'm sure Bohemian Rhapsody was played back then, I'm sure. But for some reason, you'd think I would remember that if I'd heard it like regularly. And I don't recall that until a little later, which is odd. But maybe I did. But the first time I remember Queen and the first Queen album I got was News of the World. And it was primarily because of We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions, which, great songs. I could do without ever hearing them again, to be honest with you. But they are great songs, and they were the gateway into the band. And sadly, it's a band. You've seen them, correct?
I saw the Paul Rogers lineup 2 or 3 times. I've seen the Adam Lambert one 3 or 4 times.
Okay. So you've at least seen like half the band anyways, and Roger and Brian, we'll talk a little bit about John Deacon. I was reading up on him. I didn't realize that guy just has not been present at all in forever. Once Freddie died, he was kind of out pretty much for good. But yeah, Keep Yourself Alive. Yeah, I mean, that was their first hit. I'm sure I might have heard it as a kid, but it didn't make the kind of impression that We Will Rock You and that We Are the Champions did, because that was like on the radio it was on the radio as much as freaking Eruption and You Really Got Me, which was around that time, maybe within 6, 8, 10 months, somewhere in that range. So so yeah, that was the thing. And I never ever got to see Queen. And I won't lie to you, dude. Like, I completely understand why you'd want to go, especially because of how much you love Brian May, and I do as well. But I just never had an interest to see them. And when Paul Rogers joined, I was like, man, that's just too weird. Like, he's a great vocalist, one of the best rock vocalists ever, but it just didn't. Freddie's one of those guys where it's just like, man. And Adam Lambert does an amazing job, I'm sure, right? He's incredible, right?
Yeah. He's an unbelievable vocalist. He can hit every single note that Freddie did.
Right. And that's
Paul Rogers was changing the tunes because his range is completely different. But
different range and a different sound. He's got that bluesy, gravelly voice that Freddie had a gravelly voice when he wanted to, but then he had that almost that beautiful, I guess, was he a tenor?
I don't know the technical names for singers.
Alto or tenor, something like that. But yeah, I mean, just crazy. So, but yeah, we're gonna march through the albums here, and as we do it, we're gonna give them. You gave them 1 out of 10 ratings, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna do like 1 out of 10, 10 being perfect, and 1 being not so good, and we'll get through the catalog. And we may do some little asides. There's going to be 3 albums that we don't have. Most of them I'm going to show, and Tom's going to give the actual production data on those as I show them. And most of these are all the Hollywood reissues from 91, which I got them, right around or before the time that Freddie died. But I had some of the original like cassettes, but they got lost to the sands of time. And I was like, man, I got to replace these. And they all come with bonus tracks. I did not do bonus tracks. I'm assuming you didn't either, right?
No.
Yeah. So we're just working off the actual straight catalog of the studio catalog. So that's kind of where we're going to go. Good to see you, James. like I said, we're kind of battling another show right now who probably people will start popping over then because there's not very many people watching, but that's cool. All right. So CD1 is going to be the debut, and that is just simply Queen.
Yes, it is.
You can see I've got a sticker on here. Go ahead.
It was recorded in 1971 and 1972, released in July 73 and September 73 in the US. So July and the rest of the world, I would guess. Recorded at the Delane, Lear and Trident Studios in London. Came out on EMI and Elektra, produced by John Anthony, Roy Thomas Baker, and Queen.
Very nice. These come.
Queen
I'm not sure about you, but I really don't like the fold-out style inserts. How about you?
No, not a fan.
I really want a booklet, but I fear all these are like that. But they're cool. They're good CDs. These were the Hollywood when Hollywood bought the catalog, licensed the catalog.
2011.
What's that?
Those are 2011 reissues.
No, these are the 91s, the originals.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah. So this is yeah, let me just double check. Yep, Hollywood Records, which they, if I'm not incorrect, Queen was either the first or one of the first acts that they started licensing for reissues from, and I'm pretty sure it was Queen was the first. And the interesting thing on here is I bought these at XYZ Music.
Oh wow.
Which was a local store where you could go in, Tom, and the CD case was laying on like a little flip thing where you'd have like, it was like a, I don't know what, little flip thing. That's all I can think of, where the CDs would be, kind of like this on top of each other, and then you'd flip through. But what was interesting about it was they'd have 4 or 5 little Walkmans that you could go over with, not the earbuds, but the ones over your ears, little foamy ones. And then he'd have the actual CD behind him, and the CD cases would be open, and you'd go up and you give him the CD case, and then he'd give you the CD. You could preview it. So that was 90-ish, 90, 91 one.
Okay.
Yeah. Kind of a cool idea. It died. It didn't last very long because then, eventually Amazon and all that shit came along. So, all right, man, why don't you start us on this album and give us your thoughts, please?
Yeah, man. Track 1 is "Keep Yourself Alive." The first record. It was also the first single that came out before the album. I think it sets the tone beautifully for where this band was going to go, because it's got all of the raw ingredients straight away. Beautiful guitar playing, amazing singing. Like, the whole band sounds super together. The harmonies are great. Brian May's already in there a little bit with the guitar harmonies and the layering, something he was going to get much, much more in-depth with later on. Just a super powerful song. I think I've only seen them play it live once at Hammersmith. They opened the show with it once, and just seeing Brian play the riff was a wonderful moment. Having listened to it so many times, thinking, "Oh, they're never going to play that." Yeah, it's kind of a really hard rock album. I didn't listen to this for probably until I'd already been listening to Queen for like 15 or 20 years or something, because I was just so indoctrinated on the hits. There's not a single song on this album that made it onto the Queen's Greatest Hits Volume 1 records. So I didn't know any of the songs.
Really?
Apart from the instrumental version of Seven Seas of Rye at the end. But the version that made it onto Greatest Hits was the version of Seven Seas of Rye with singing, which is on Queen 2.
It's on 2, yeah.
My favourite songs on this record are "Keep Yourself Alive," "Liar," and "Son and Daughter," because they're just big, smashing, hard rock songs. Super dramatic as well with the vocal layering and arrangements. You already know just from this record what the ingredients are there for what's going to come later on. Like Roger Taylor's insanely high voice. The fact you've got 3 really strong singers in the band. Like, all of them are good enough to be lead vocalists on their own.
Exactly.
Somehow, just magically, they got a chemistry between them that blends really, really well. It just sounds like they're meant to be. I mean, gosh, the other songs on this album, yeah, like James has just said in the comments there, "Doing All Right" was a Smile song that Brian May brought with him from his previous band, Smile. There's a few times that's going to happen. But like guys bringing in, old material from previous acts to use with Queen. But yeah, but there's not really a bad moment on this album until you get to track 9, "Jesus." Like, that one's pretty cringy. I would skip that one.
Yeah, the chorus, that's a little goofy, but I don't know, I kind of like it. It's weird. Like, but I get why you would say it's kind of cringy.
Yes. Jesus is pure cringe though. Yeah. Yeah, but Great King Rat's a great song. Doing All Right's a great
Oh,
song. My Fairy King's a great song. The Night Comes Down's pretty banging. Um, yeah, I think Modern Times Rock and Roll is a lead vocal by Roger Taylor, and straight away Queen are telling us there like Freddie's not going to be the lead vocalist on every single song in this band.
right.
I think that's a cool thing about them. The fact they were very happy to share things around, like in that sense. And I would also say that if anybody likes the songs on this album, for God's sake, go and find like the BBC sessions, because they recorded a bunch of sessions for the BBC on these first few albums where they did like the long drawn out versions of these tunes that they would play live. Like
I've never heard those.
Son and Daughter used to contain Brian May's guitar solo that he'd later end up playing in like Brighton Rock and then other parts in the set, sometimes as a completely standalone thing.
Oh wow.
You hear the genesis of a lot of ingredients that are just going to exist the whole way through Queen's career right off the bat from this record.
There is a BB Sessions CD, right? I believe out there.
Yeah, I've actually got a weird bootleg one that I found somewhere. I can't remember where exactly, but it was like 3 CDs in a paper case, three CDRs, I should say. And it's completely full. I think some of them were recorded like live in the studio. Some of them, they recorded their own new multi-tracks in the studio, and some of them were just like straight soundboard recordings from concerts.
Sorry, I had that was my phone. Sorry about that. I want to watch the session on here and see how things look when we do the sharing of screens. So yeah, killer, man. And the weird thing about like you mentioned about Roger Taylor, and I think maybe this is a point you may or may not make, but I'll make it now, is that this is probably his weakest track because he always has a banger fucking track on every album. And
not every album.
well, I don't, maybe later stuff. I'm talking about the first few albums. I think his songs are really strong.
I would say once we get to like Fun It on Jazz, it's like
yeah.
But the first 5 or 6 albums, sure.
Yeah. But this is probably the weakest of the songs. It's kind of it's good. It's a great vocal. And he's got that cool raspy higher, like you said, man, any one of these 3 guys could have been a lead singer in any band, and it's pretty stellar how great they are. And another thing that dawned on me here is that a lot of people talk about the Mutt Lange stacked vocal thing that started out with Def Leppard in that era of stuff. Queen already figured that out 10 years prior.
Yeah,
as far as I'm concerned.
Totally, yeah. Like, Def Leppard stuff is great, but they owe literally everything to Queen, and I think they would probably admit that.
Absolutely. And a little bit to 10cc, because I think the 2 greatest songs vocally that have ever been recorded are Bohemian Rhapsody and I'm Not in Love. That crazy multi-part vocal that they do, the Big Boys Don't Cry part. It's so fucking gorgeous. Anyway, that's a whole subject for another time. But yeah, so I'll run down this quick. Keep Yourself Alive, great galloping track, man. You hear in a weird way, you almost hear a little bit of a blueprint for Iron Maiden there. That not exactly, but you get my point. But killer riffs, and as a guitar player, that's a really fun track to play, man. Like just that the killer riff with the bends on the D and the G, and so good. Doing All Right. I love this song, man. It's so dynamic. It's got a lot of dynamics to it. With the mellow section and then the heavy section kicking in. Fucking love that song. Great King Rack. To me, that's kind of a super prog song, man. There's all kind of shit going on in that song. There's all kind of, sections happening, and it's very progressive to me. My Fairy King, those violins. Oh wait, they're not violins; they're guitars. You hear those amazing, like, and I still don't know what the hell Brian was doing. I think I've watched tons of videos about how he was developing that sound, with using volume swells and early harmonizers and things like that. But God, he's the guy that I think invented that sound. It's nobody else really was doing that. My Fairy King, dude, I fucking love that song. Mega prog, pop, hard rock, stunning playing throughout. That's a banger track right up near the top for me. Next song, Liar, 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 Liar. Can't do those vocals, of course. What a hefty bastard that is. That chorus is so damn good. Basically a blues track, but it just smokes it. It's so heavy. The mellow verses into the chorus. That's another one right there with My Fairy King. When the Night Comes Down. What a killer intro on the acoustic. That staccato sort of thing. So unique for that era of music. You're not really hearing that. There's ripping playing on that. The cymbals on this album kind of overtake. Did you notice that, or is that just me? Maybe I had a bad stream of it, but it sounds like the cymbals are just very loud on this album. That would be my only one big production, detractor. And that it kind of over saturates the acoustic intro to that song. But I love that track a lot. And then Son to Daughter, that's my sleeper track, dude. Oh man, those intro choral vocals and that nasty, heavy, bluesy, snarling guitar riffs, man. Again, sleeper track. Those three, My Fairy King, Liar, Son and Daughter, and When the Night Comes Down, those are probably my three favorites. Modern time rock and roll, it's my least favorite of the Taylor songs, as I already noted, but it kicks maximum ass as a song. It's got a lot of great riffs in it. It's like I said again, the cymbals kind of overwhelm it a little bit on that song, and then Jesus, it's an odd but endearing track, and the vocal arrangements and recordings are insanely awesome for that era, but it's probably my least favorite track, not because of the lyrical content, which is very bizarre too, in a way. But yeah, this album kicks maximum ass, but there's a ton of killer tones and variation in the song. Just kills. If the production overall was a little more solid, especially the cymbal work, this one would really be as it is. Did you give it a mark?
8.7.
8.7. Okay, not 8.75. 8.7.
I say different album gets 8.75.
All right.
I'm going to say right up now my ratings, they're bullshit because I love them all, but I just wanted to not have any ties. So I just put random numbers after a decimal point.
That's cool. Yeah. So what do I got here? Full point. I don't know what I've got there. I can't read my own writing there. Anyways, I got a 9 out of 10 on this, man. 9 out of 10. I love this album. I've always loved it. We talked about our top 5, and man, it's hard for me to say that 1, 2, and 3 can't switch places pretty frequently, to be honest with you.
Sure. Yeah, it depends.
All right. All right, we'll go with Queen 2 coming up here. Give me a second to blow this up here. And you can go ahead and give me some info on this one, and I'll try to...
Sure. Queen 2 was recorded between August 73 and February 74, eventually released on the 8th of March 1974 at Trident Studio in London, produced by Roy Thomas Baker, Robin Jeffrey, Cable, and Queen.
Yeah,
EMI Electra.
And that's right. We got a note that and EMI was in UK and Electra was in the States. They had 2 different labels. Now this one, again, they did the same fucking thing. Like I said, I think they're all like that. But there you go, man. We can have Rick do another number on this one for you and I. In fact, what I should have told Rick to do, and I didn't think of it, is I should have had him put Your Face and My Face also on Roger and John Deacon. That would have been hilarious. I only think of these things later, of course. All right, man. You wanna rip into this one too?
I'm not as familiar with this album as a lot of the later ones because I didn't listen to it until only the last couple of years, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I've since learned that when the original record came out, there was a white side and a black side of the album, which reflected a more emotional side on the white side and then a harder, more aggressive side on the black side. Right. My favorite side on this record is definitely the black side. I would probably say my favorite tunes on the album are Ogre Battle, The March of the Black Queen, and Seven Seas of Rye, which I already talked about.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it definitely develops on some of the themes from Queen 1, but it moves away from some of the others, I feel. To me, this is a very fantasy-orientated, almost like fantasy art progressive rock album. Like, it's pretty out there in places. I can see someone who loves Rush, for example, really like this album. But I also feel like it's got the fewest like catchy tunes out of all of the Queen albums. The instrumentation is a lot more complex on this album than in Queen 1. Like, the layering is a lot more sophisticated, the harmonies and
absolutely
the vocally and the guitars. It blows my mind to think that this is a band on their second studio album cut all of this shit to tape.
Yes.
It's so complex. I mean, you think of what other bands were doing in like early 1974, like nobody else.
Right, like AC/DC. as we talked about, and reference that thing you sent me real quick, will you?
Yeah, sure. So I think loudwire.com released an article today. It was a study conducted that looked at YouTube streams across the planet to determine who the most popular classic rock band in the world in each country was for the last 12 months. And I think Queen came out top by miles, like 1.6 billion YouTube streams. That's and they were the number one band in 60 on YouTube in the last year in 63 different countries, not including the US or Canada.
That's insane, dude. I mean, that
is
like
most of the rest of the world, like most of the rest of the world, like it's shared pretty evenly, like the rest between like AC/DC, Bon Jovi, Guns N' Roses, Queen miles ahead. And yeah, the US AC/DC streets ahead of everything else.
All 4 songs at AC/DC.
Yeah, I love AC/DC, but like, you know,
they're
not Queen.
Yeah. Wanted to note something real quick about the first 2 albums in particular. I don't know if they continue this trend on. I'd have to read. I think they did. But in the liner notes for the first album, they say no synthesizers were used on this album. And also, I forgot to note on the reissue, the 91 reissue, there is a killer song on here called Mad the Swine.
Yeah, it's like a B-side, right?
Oh, yeah, it's a B-side. It's so good, man. It's Freddie at his most deranged, sort of wildly proggy, and it's so good. And then on the inner tray notes on Queen 2, it says, and nobody played synthesizer again.
Yeah, it was bands still score points by saying that on their album sleeves, like no synthesizers were used in the making of this.
Allegedly, the first album that uses synthesizers is The Game, which is 1980. So they went literally an entire decade. And granted, early synthesizers, you had, the samplers that like, the Moogs and all that stuff that like, bands like Tangerine Dream and Rush and those guys were using them. But Queen were very, steadfast that they did not use them. And there's some stuff on here that makes me wonder, though. I'll blow myself up here and talk a wee bit about this album. Okay. This is my favorite Queen album. I'm not going to lie. It's a 10 out of 10. Well, it's a 9. I think I have it as a 9.75. Let me double check. I don't want to jump ahead of myself here. So, let me jump down there. Oh no, I got it as a 10 out of 10. I wasn't sure. But yeah, this album, like Tom said, man, it's heavily layered, heavily orchestrated. And by orchestrated, I don't mean synthesizers or orchestras. It's just the way that they wrote difficult part, and it makes me wonder how they would perform some of this stuff live. Some of it they probably didn't, I would imagine. But it starts out with the procession, which is those harmonized violin guitars again. Now they sort of sound like they've got we've got a little bit of a cello effect now as opposed to just violins, right? There's a deeper bass note to it when he's doing the bass note stuff with the volume swells. Father to Son, no synths used, yet that keyboard like sound at the very beginning. Oh, it's like, how the fuck did he do that? And then it just kicks in with that from father to son, da 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 da. Oh, hear the words that I say. It sounds so synthy sounding, yet it's allegedly not. The choruses are monstrous. The heavy as balls section kicks your teeth in. It's so wicked. That May solo on this song is so good. I mean, this song, Father to Son, is just such a badass song, man. Freddie's vocal and the vocal harmonies and the fade out vocals, man. I cannot get enough of this song. It's just that, that part where he's doing the from father to son, father to son, father to son. and I can't get up to those notes. Sorry, gang. I know you're sad that I can't sing those. A masterpiece of a song. The White Queen, another gorgeous track. And I'll tell you right now, Queensryche stole some of the Lady Wore Black from this song. If you listen to the Lady Wore Black and you listen to the White Queen, that mellow acoustic-y sort of section, dude, they stole that song. They stole a little bit of it from it. Again, so moody and emotionally heavy, and again, the contrast between mellow and heavy, very proggy, like Father to Son. I love this track. Some of this, there's also sitar on this one. Not sure if that ever showed up on a Queen album again that I'm aware of, to be honest with you. Loser, Someday One Day is a really cool, trippy birds like sort of almost like Southern California vibe, except for Queen like. Acoustic, hippie sounding, love it, super rad tune. Love Brian's vocals on it, which I believe, I might be wrong on this. Does he sing it on the first album?
No, he doesn't have a lead vocal on the first
I didn't
album.
think he did. Yeah, I didn't think he did.
There's a call and response bit in the middle of Keep Yourself Alive, which is him and Roger, but he doesn't do it.
That's right. Yeah, right. That's right. They do that call and response. But other than that, this is his first lead vocal, and it's so good. Loser in the End, the first of many, what I feel is really good Roger Taylor songs. His voice, you got to be a loser in the end. And he's got that, he's just got that ripping rock and roll voice, man. Killer song. And I always love that raspy, gnarly rock vibe that he comes off with on his songs. Ogre Battle, one of my all-time favorite Queen tracks. So damn heavy. I mean, that's like a proto thrash song, man. It's like so good. And Freddie wrote this song, which is mind-blowing. I don't know if he wrote it on guitar or piano or what, but he apparently wrote this song, allegedly, according to Brian May. Just such a badass song. Fairy Fellers, that's the only song I'm kind of ambivalent about. It's kind of a little bit cheesy. But his singing, Freddie's singing is absolutely amazing. Yeah, the lyrics are pretty funny and pretty amazing too. Nevermore, such a beautiful Freddie Mercury vocal, man. Just wow, superlative. March of the Black Queen, their first big, massive, proggy Genesis-like song. Man, here comes the Black Queen. Da, 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 da. Such a fucking badass song. Da, 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 da. And I think Brian May's doing some of the call and response stuff in this, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Da, 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 da. I don't know the words. Funny How Love Is, great poppy tune. And then they do sort of the 7 Seas of Rye snippet sort of thing. It's like a shorter version that they expand. No, wait, this is the full one, right? Yeah, I'm sorry, my bad. I got confused. This is the long one, and this is the really good one. The short one is on the end of the first album, and great fucking tune, right? Isn't that a killer song?
Love it.
This is a full 10 out of 10. Love this album. It's heavy, bombastic, proggy, melodic, and I feel it's full of complex songs, which I think is what you basically said, which is why you haven't quite gravitated to it as intensely, right?
I think that's it. Yeah. I'm sure if I listened to it more, the number would go up. But for me, it's only like a 7.5, just because I've listened to it like probably 6 or 7 times ever.
Right.
And the songs aren't properly like nailed into me. Like I just
cool.
I remember the sitar lick, like meow, 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 but
yeah. And I think
the same with a lot of dense progressive music. You have to really, really work on it and get the most out of it.
That's true. I mean, you're right about that. And that's, I mean, like you said, you can see why a Rush fan would like that. And
Totally.
you're right about that. All right, moving on. Oh, shit.
Be careful.
CD. Oh, my God. I might have broke a case. What will I do? I'll have to buy a new one. I can't actually keep the one that fell on the floor. It's like the 7-second rule or whatever.
Exactly.
So we've got Sheer Heart Attack.
Recorded between July and October 1974, released November 1974, recorded at Trident, Rockfield Air and Wessex Sound Studios, all in the UK, released on EMI and Elektra again, produced by Roy Thomas Baker and Queen. Sheer Heart Attack, Queen's 3rd studio album.
All right, man. Go for it.
I think this is their best record. I think it's the moment when the Queen that we all know now really was born. Like they figured out what they could do on the first two records, especially the second. Like they realized they didn't really have any limitations, their imaginations for that limitation. I think this is where they've started really dialing in the songwriting. I tried to figure out what my favorite songs are on this album, and I came up with all of side one and Stone Cold Crazy and In the Lap of the Gods Revisited. That doesn't mean I don't like the other songs, but I just think that side A on this record with Brighton Rock, Killer Queen, then the suite of Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, and Lily of the Valley all in one, followed by Now I'm Here. It's like we're in 10 out of 10 Queen territory now. Like this is where they are really fucking going. Like Brighton Rock became the vehicle for Brian May's guitar solo live, the one that used to be in Son and Daughter when they were first starting out. The Live Killers version of Brighton Rock is just like an absolute masterclass in guitar playing. And I actually sent it to a friend today because she hadn't listened to much like deep Queen stuff before. And I was like, okay, this will make you want to listen to like all of it. And it did, because that's what it does. Like just that this is Queen ascending into the height of their powers. And for me, this is where they pretty much stayed for the rest of their career after this.
Well, until the 80s.
Until Hot Space, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not as high on this album as you, weirdly. And weirdly, you're really gonna really fucking hate me. I like Brighton Rock. I just don't get off on it like you do, weirdly. I don't know why. You're right. The guitar playing is amazing. It's just the song itself is not one of my favorites on the album, oddly. Maybe I need to I hadn't listened to this one in quite a while, and I remember always thinking, this one's kind of one of my, but I did some of the songs I kind of forgot about are on here that are really, really fucking killer. And Brighton Rock, great vehicle for Brian to jam and go off on, but it's one of my least favorite tracks on the album. I will re-listen because I did buzz through it fast last night, and because I did that one late last night. But Killer Queen, man, what a song! That perfect blend of pop, heavy metal, but not really metal, hard rock, those awesome guitars, man. Wow, 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 wow. So good. Just so damn good. The big hit off the album, deservedly so. The hooks, the vocals, the chorus, the verses, everything. Lyrics, awesome. Tenement Funster. I fucking love this song, man. This is Roger at his best, man. It's just, he rules on this song. Love his vocals. And this one has a lot of subtle, and I'm curious if you agree with me. This one has a lot of subtle complexity to it as far as a song. Do you agree?
Yeah, for a song that's less than 3 minutes long, there's an awful lot going on.
There's a lot of guitar chord stuff going on and changes going on and riffs going on that you're like, damn, man, like if Roger wrote this, man, he's a fucking really good guitar player, because that's not an easy just wham bam thank you man 4-chord group of song for easy chords or whatever. Yeah, if you're listening carefully to that song, it's a killer. Flick of the Wrist, vicious snarling rocker from Freddie. Tons of stacked vocals, which lead me to realize this is where I said Mutt Lange and Def Leppard were not the first band to do that. Now I'm Here. Fucking love this tune. Love this song. Just badass killer riffage from Brian. A boogie rocker with a twisted Queen approach and those stacked vocals. Man, what the part where he goes, whatever became of you and me. Fucking so goddamn killer, man. Just amazing. In the Lap of the Gods, cool track, although Freddie's vocal will have a weird effect on them that's a little off-putting on that one. Stone Cold Crazy, killer. Proto Thrash again, obviously. Metallica covered on Garage Days Revisited, I believe, right?
I think it was a B-side for Enter Sandman.
Oh, was it?
I
always thought that was on Garage Days Revisited. We'll be corrected by James, I'm sure. Yeah, what else do we have here? Dear Friends, Lilting Ballad, not a favorite. Misfire, I really like Misfire. Great tune. I dig that one. That's a cool one, Freddie one.
That was John Deacon's first writing credit, that one.
Oh yeah, and it's a cool song. It's a poppy sort of track, but it's kind of a cool. It's not though. It's not super poppy. It's got a real kind of, I don't know. It's got a cool rockness to it, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Bring Back Leroy Brown, Campy Freddy, Vaudeville Fun track, not my favorite. She Makes Me, Stormtrooper Brian's tune, great track, kind of shoegazerish, I can't say that word, gazer-ish. Killer vocal harmonies on that one. Lap Revisited, a bit heavier than the other track. I love this album, but it's also one of my. I love what is it? I love a lot of this album, but it's also one of my least favorite Queen albums overall. Some killer tracks, but a few duds for me. I give it a 7.5. 7.5. I got to revisit Brighton Rock though, because that's the one that's bothering me. I should love that album more, or that song more. Night at the Opera is up next, sir. And
Night at the Opera. I should say as well, the thing that really turned me on to Sheer Heart Attack was actually Dream Theater, because when they released Black Clouds and Silver Linings, they did a whole bunch of bonus tracks, and one of them was a cover version of the Tenement Funster, Flick of the Wrist, and Lily of the Valley medley.
That's right. That's right. They did that.
That was my favorite thing of the covers they did, and that encouraged me to go back and listen to Sheer Heart Attack more closely. I was like, wow, well, obviously the Queen version is way better.
Then you know Zebra. They did that. They did Take Your Fingers from My Hair, right?
Yeah. That was the first time I ever heard of Zebra. Yeah.
Oh god, that first Zebra album, dude. Oh,
that's the only Zebra song I've actually liked. I did go back and listen to Zebra, but I don't know. None of their other songs have clicked with me.
Oh, Tom, I have to remove you from the stream. I'm sorry. It was great knowing you. I appreciate you stopping in for the short part of it. I fucking love that that first album. It's like that is like a mantra to me, man. I mean, I love that fucking thing.
Maybe I need to listen to it again. I did buy another one. I think one that had chess pieces on the cover.
Yeah, that was the worst. That's the worst one.
That one really fucking sucked. Yeah.
It's not very good. Third album's really good. The fourth album is decent. The third album is very poppy, but it's got great songs on it. First album is a ripper, with the exception of the one cover that they have on there. It's kind of lame, but all right, you ready to rock and roll on this one? We're gonna.
Yeah. I just want to address something that James said in the comments. He said, "What is Rainbow Theatre?" It was a famous music venue in London. Where all the best bands used to play in the 70s. Like my dad saw Pink Floyd there, I think, and a bunch of other bands. It is now a bank.
Is it really? A bank.
Night at the Opera was recorded between August and November 1975, and it came out in November 75. Wow, the turnaround was so fast back then.
Dude, it was crazy.
Your album, like, in the same month it gets released. That's fucking crazy.
Isn't that nuts? It's just
It's got like a 9-8 month lead time on our record release. We just finished it.
Oh, is it really that? Are you serious? It's 9 months for Spirit Adrift.
Yeah, that's the quickest I can get vinyl pressed right now.
Well, that's part of the problem right there. They didn't have that
fucking, like, Rumors reissues and Adele's new record. No, it's crap. Yeah, records that people buy at Target. Don't get fucking pissed off.
Yeah.
Anyway, this record was recorded at lots of different studios: Trident, Olympic, Rockfield, the Roundhouse in Camden, place where I've seen quite a lot of concerts, and Scorpio Sound, also in Camden. Released again on EMI Electra, again the Dream Team, Roy Thomas Baker and Queen. You know this album, even if you don't think you know this album, because it's got Bohemian Rhapsody on it, and that is the song that made Queen like the most famous rock band in the world. But and there's a lot of other great stuff going on this record.
A lot of good songs on it. Yeah, and if you know, for the younger crowd, as you mentioned, you're gonna know Bohemian Rhapsody from Wayne's World, of course, because that was the scene, man. You know, I mean, that's the scene, right?
People younger than me, they might struggle with Wayne's World. You know, I mean, I'm 40.
That's true. What year did that come out? Was that?
It was 91, or it was sometime between. I think Wayne's World 2 might have been 93. So I'm going to say Wayne's World 1 was 91 or 92.
Yeah,
probably because it was the year Hey Stupid came out, because they were plugging Feed My Frankenstein really hard, and it was in the movie.
I'm wondering if Freddie was still alive when this came out. I'm sure he knew about it. I'm sure he knew somewhat was going on, but Freddie died in 91. So
yeah,
I don't know if you would have known much about how the success blew up. You know what I mean? From it, but
I know that in the wake of Freddie's death, Bohemian Rhapsody got to #1 for the third time in the UK, meaning it was the first song to be #1 in 3 different decades, and then I think it was #1 again in the 2000s, so it's been #1 a single in 4 different decades.
Yeah, when the biopic came out, it went. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, probably another decade, so maybe it's 5 now. I don't know.
It's insane, man, when you think about it, and we talked about that earlier about how you mentioned it, man. I mean, just the fact that they were recording this and they were able to put a complex album like this out all in 1 year. And now, and this is when you're doing stuff to 2-inch tape, meaning you're overdubbing or you're cutting or splicing tape if you got to make a major fix, but you're not, you better have those songs down, man. If you're not able to cut it in the studio, you're never going to get done, and you're going to spend a lot of money, or the label's going to spend a lot of money, which the labels did back then, though. That was the difference. But you didn't have Pro Tools. You didn't have quantization. You didn't have fucking, you had compression and reverb and delay and stuff like that, but you didn't have auto tune. And who would want auto tune with Freddie? I mean, who the fuck would want that, right? You know, like,
yeah, the fact they're able to record that middle section of Bohemian Rhapsody completely analog, like, tells you everything you need to know about how talented these dudes were.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
My other shouts for great songs on this record would be "Death on Two Legs," a scathing denunciation of Queen's former business manager, I think. Absolute rocker. Sounds great on all the live versions I've heard too. "I'm in Love with My Car" became a staple of the live set, a song that Roger wrote, where he's probably getting a little bit too friendly with his car. "You're My Best Friend," a really sweet John Deacon song. The sleeper hit of the album for me is 39, Brian May's time dilation inspired folk ballad, a song about brave explorers going off on a ship into the night to discover new lands. When they come back, it only feels like they've been away for a day, but decades have passed. And, you know, all the people that they knew and loved when they went away are either old or dead now. They're kind of seeing there's a line, your eyes and your mother's eyes look back at me, or something. It's quite affecting. It's very touching, and it's also like indicative of the fact that Queen were not just like singing about, like, you know, like getting fucked up and like having sex and like,
right.
rock and roll cliches. There was a lot more going on here. It's more cerebral, and honestly, it's just more interesting. I can't think of the right words right now. 39 tears me up a little bit. Every time I've seen the band live, they'll come down onto a little like middle stage, and Roger and Brian will sing this one. It absolutely kills me. Vocal harmonies are so beautiful. There's this insane modulation in the middle where Roger starts hitting like dog whistle notes. Like, I don't know what the hell he's doing, but yeah, normal people can't sing that high. Normal people can't do songs like 39. Normal people can't bands like Queen. "Sweet Lady" and "Seaside Rendezvous" kind of passed me by. "Prophet Song" is like Freddie fucking around with a delay pedal, like the same way that Brian May would, I think, harmonizing with himself. I saw Jeff Scott Soto with that band he does with Bumblefoot and Derek Sherinian and Portnoy. I think Sons of Apollo. He did like a live a cappella cover of the Prophet Song, which absolutely killed me.
Oh,
like,
right.
at least, "Now I Know" bit.
Now I know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's absolutely fucking killer.
I love that song.
"Love of My Life," I don't like the studio version as much as the version they do live, where it's just like Brian and Freddie, and then later on just Brian. I think the orchestration's a little over the top on this version of "Love of My Life," but it's still an incredible song. Yeah, "Good Company," I couldn't tell you how it goes off the top of my head. It's completely escaping me right now. And then you got Bohemian Rhapsody and their instrumental version of "God Save the Queen" to close out the album. This is like booking their place in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame already, this record.
Yeah, I would imagine. I wonder how many of this is sold. Does it say on there? It's got to be.
How many copies it sold?
Yeah.
It's been #1 in a lot of different countries. Oh, here we go. United States, it sold 3 million copies. In the UK, 300,000. Yeah, it's platinum in like 9 different countries, gold in another 3. It's a lot of copies.
That doesn't seem like enough, though. When it's in that, to me, it's in that classic realm, like, you know, Dark Side of the Moon, and, you know, when you hear like fucking Metallica sold what 26 million copies of the Black Album, like, really? Okay, I get it, but you know. Anyway,
I would say a lot of people probably heard Bohemian Rhapsody like I did on a Greatest Hits album or something like.
Probably,
like, it wouldn't just be from this album.
I think the other thing to note on 39, I believe, is he's using a 12 string on there, right?
Yes.
Yeah, and I don't know that you noted that. Like, I didn't note it on any of the other songs. It could be buried. I'm sure it is, because a lot of times they would use 12 string to fatten up the rhythm section with either a double tracked electric or whatever. But this is very prominently 12 string. You can hear it. For me, Let's see my notes here. Death on Two Legs, snarling rocker with awesome lyrics, jagged May guitar riffs and pinch harmonics, killer multi-tracked harmonies off to a killer start with. Like all Queen albums, always start with a great fucking track. Almost every Queen album, like at least up until Hot Space or so, has a great fucking opening track. Blazing on Sunday Afternoon, Campy Freddy, but good fun. I'm in love with my car. Roger, hell yeah, love it. Heavy and gnarly good. You're my best friend. I love this song, dude. Like, it's just such a great song, man. It's like, how can you not love that song? It never gets old to me. Brian, I'm sorry, 39. Brian, acoustic history track. Very melodic, great fun. Sweet lady, good Freddie ballad, but nothing exceptional. I'm like you. Seaside Rendezvous, great fun, campiness. I actually like that one a little bit more because it's that Seaside Rendezvous where he's doing the almost like Barker voice or whatever, like the Carnival Barker voice. Yeah. Kind of goofy. Prophet Song, killer, proggy, heavy, epic, one of May's masterpieces. The heaviest rocker on the album, maybe my favorite song on the album. That Now I Know section is trippy as fuck, as you noted, because he's doing about, I don't know, it's about maybe almost 2 minutes of all these delayed vocals that are reverby and all over the place and shifting and moving. Really cool. Love my life, right? I got Love of My Love. Oops. I was hurrying through there. Love of My Life. This is the song, I believe. I looked this up and now I'm blanking. Love of My Life was the one that Brian May did at the Alone, out in the crowd or on the walkway out to the crowd in the Taylor Hawkins thing.
Yeah.
And just the whole entire, and that's Wembley they played, right? Wembley Arena?
The new Wembley Stadium, yeah.
Wembley Stadium, which I don't know how many that holds, but I'm imagining it's
90,000.
How much?
90,000.
90. Okay. And I'm sure there were more than that there. I think I'd heard somewhere there was like 120,000 there.
They wouldn't oversell that place, not now.
But
there's a lot of people.
But dude, I'm not gonna lie to you, man. I'm old enough that I don't give a shit about stuff like this anymore, man. I watched that, and I was not a huge Foos fan. I like him. I think Dave's a cooler guy than a lot of people give him credit for being. A lot of people give him shit for being, too much of a media whore, so to speak, or whatever. That's because people want at him. But he writes good songs. And I think he's a great live performer. The band is great live. But I just own like one greatest hits and like one album with the Buffalo on it. And I watched it more out of just curiosity. And I knew that Geddy and Alex were playing. And Geddy and Alex played earlier in the day, that day. And man, the waterworks started. I was like, damn. Like I'm watching it, I could feel the tears run down my cheek. I'm like, wow, like that's powerful to me. To see those guys on stage and knowing that we lost Neil 3 years ago too was heavy, but I didn't know what was in store for me, man, because when Brian May got out there and did that song, I cried my eyes out, dude. I bawled my fucking eyes out like a little baby. Now I've got issues that I'm thinking about, like that stuff, but it was just so fucking beautiful, dude. Just so beautiful, man. Just amazing, 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 amazing. And I'm so glad I watched it and don't regret it at all. I think it was amazing. Don't regret crying at it. It was just fucking amazing. Guys, I'm sorry about not pulling up a lot of comments. I'll try to do it at the very end, but I'm trying to move quickly for Tom because I don't want to keep him here all night. I think he's very worried he's going to be stuck here for 6 hours. Not going to happen. But yeah, hey Robert, what's up, Jeff? I saw footage of Brian Johnson at that. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, Brian Johnson always sounds like shit. I'm not a big Brian Johnson guy. I think actually Axl probably sounded better when he was with them. I'm not a big AC/DC guy. I hate to admit it. Tar and feather me, beat me the fuck up, take me out back, hit me with a bag of bricks. I like a whole lot of Rosie. I like a couple of the hit songs. I like Highway to Hell, but I just don't spend a lot of time on that band. They never blew me away as far as songwriting. I don't know. Whatever. All right, man. Yeah. So Prophets, Love My Life. Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't need to ever hear it again, but it's a marvel of recording technology and studio savvy, and a testament to what incredible singers and performers and songwriters these guys are. It's just amazing. God Save the Queen. I could done without that. I'm sure it means more to you than it would to me, but I don't know. So
I think it sounds cooler on Brian May's guitar than it does with like drunk people singing it before a football match. Definitely.
that's a good point.
I saw that James told me that Bohemian Rhapsody is not on the Greatest Hits album. There's my Greatest Hits album. It's track 1.
Well, there you go, James. You've been proven wrong.
I think what happened, I was reading about this yesterday. What happened with the Greatest Hits is I think they actually altered the track listing for different markets depending on what had been singles. And
that could have been.
It's got to do with that kind of stuff. Like, they actually released different versions and include. I think "Keep Yourself Alive" might have been on the UK version, on the US version, for example, but not the UK. Who knows? Record companies did weird things back then.
What did you give this one?
I gave this album a 9.
9. Okay. I love a lot of this album, but again, a few filler tracks drag it down for me a little. I'm going to give it an 8.25 because the high points are amazing. The lows are kind of meh. We are off to A Day at the Races, sir.
I've got this one.
Oh, you want to show yours? Hang on. Wow, get out of there.
I'll take it out the plastic sleeve. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah, let's blow you up there. Oh, you got the gatefold. And that's an OG, I'm imagining. That's an original, right?
It is, yeah.
Nice.
I'm trying to get all of these, but the problem with Queen records is, if you go to most record shops, they'll just have brand new reissues that are like $40. I'm not spending that.
Yep. Yeah.
I'd rather pick up a fucking destroyed old copy for like $5 or $10 as long as it'll still play.
Yep, exactly.
My ring light is killing.
Yeah, you got the ring light too. I know, it's like crazy how that happens.
But yeah, it's a cool album cover.
I love it.
It's a play on like the British royal family's crest, but it's a lot cooler, and there's some weird fucking creatures and shit going on. And 3 animals, not 4. There's some kind of cat, another kind of cat. There's a crab.
I forget what do they call those the lions with the wings? Shit, there's a name for them. Something with an M. I think it starts with an M. Yeah. So
I'm going to say Manticore, even though I don't.
Is it Manticore?
I doubt it's Manticore. It's a cool word. I'm going to Google Manticore quickly.
Dude, I think
it is.
It is. I thought so when you said that.
A lion, the face of a man, and the sting of a scorpion. Hell yeah.
That's it. Way to go, dude. I got the M. You got the rest of it. Nicely going. Here's the CD version, and go ahead and give me some data on that one, sir.
It was recorded between July and August 1976, released in December 1976. Now, to give you some color, this is Queen's 5th album, and it is only 3.5 years since the first album came out.
Yep.
Bands worked hard back then. Bands were good back then.
And that's what the labels wanted to do, but they also put a lot of money into them. They also gave them a lot of tour support too. That's the different sort of vibe on that. You know what I mean? Which they don't do any of that kind of stuff anymore. So, all right, man, go ahead, rip into it.
Kicks off with Tie Your Mother Down, a staple of Queen's live show for the rest of their career. Banging boogie rocker. I think this is actually a song that Brian had before Queen. And he wanted to like change the words and the title and stuff, but Freddie was like, no, Tie Your Mother Down's good. We're going to keep it. They Queenified it. It became a classic tune. I think the album actually starts with some weird sound effects. I was reading about what they are. It's, what's it called? It's, God fucking damn it. It's not on the screen I'm looking at right now. Some weird sound effect thing. It sounds like it's an infinitely rising passage. It's some kind of special scale or chord or something. You can Google it and find out what it is. And I think they finished the album with it as well, perhaps. Just Queen messing around with studio nonsense because they had the time and the money. You Take My Breath Away is a really, really great song. Freddie at the piano again. They only performed it live once at Hyde Park in London in 1976. And they did include that as a bonus track on the 2011 Universal Music reissue. Long Away, Millionaire Waltz, You and I. Yeah, this is an album I haven't spent a great deal of time with. You can talk about those songs because nothing is coming up in my head for them right now. Somebody to Love, though. track 1 on side 2. Everyone knows how great Somebody to Love is.
Sure.
I think the definitive version of the song, great as this one is, might actually be George Michael's version at the Freddie Mercury tribute concert.
Oh,
There's just something about the emotion in that version and just the
dude.
magnitude of the occasion that I think,
Mind-blowing.
sometimes there is a definitive version of a song, and for me, that's it.
Yep, I agree with you.
White Man is one of the angriest Queen songs ever. It's about the slaughter of the indigenous people of the US. It's really heavy, like musically and thematically. It's a Brian May song. Good old fashioned Loverboy, fucking rules. It's just like super camp Freddie, like down to a T. It's dining out at the Ritz, like driving home in my saloon will do quite nicely. It's just so English.
Yep.
Just imagine him gallivanting around London, good old London town. Drowse, that's the Roger song on this album. It's a banger. I did read somewhere they actually started rehearsing it to try and play it live sometime in the last 10 years, but it didn't come through, which is a shame. Let's hope it does.
Love that song. Love it.
Somebody to Love was covered by Brittany Murphy for the film Happy Feet. I have not heard that, Robert. That sounds interesting, though. And then Teo Toriate, Let Us Cling Together. I think Brian May wrote that one as a kind of tribute to their fans in Japan. Probably from the shows that are on this shirt here, which I think was a reproduction of the 1976 tour. Yeah, I don't think this album is like a complete success the whole way through, but even the songs I don't love are immaculately conceived and recorded and performed. Just like it's just not full of the hits, I would say. Apart from Tie Your Mother Down, Somebody to Love, and Good Old Fashioned Loverboy. Like that, there's definitely some deep cuts here that you can get your teeth into.
Yeah. Well, I'll go into my track by track, and then we'll kind of summarize at the end. What'd you give this one?
8.1 out of 10.
8.1. Okay, I got that. I've got a bit higher than you. Tie Your Mother Down, Ripper, killer bunch of riffs on that. Great vocal. Tie your mother down, tie your mother down. So good. Take My Breath Away. What an amazingly gorgeous song. It's just it's one of Freddie's most amazing songs, and he wrote a lot of amazing songs, but his vocals on this track are just, they're breathtaking, man. They're breathtaking. They're just that good. It's so beautiful. Long Away, stellar Brian May reminds me a little bit of Maggie May in that vibe to a point. He's also using a lot of 12 string on this song too. Especially when the harmonies kick in and it gets a little bit heavier. I fucking love that song. That's a deep cut right there, I would say. Millionaire Waltz, Campy Freddie, love it when it gets a little bit heavier and builds up towards the end. Great song. You and I, great poppy love song with killer Brian May guitar break and leads. Somebody to Love, a classic, and I would agree with you, George Michael. And I make no apologies for saying George Michael is one of the greatest singers of all times. Just wow, the guy's voice was otherworldly, and that's a whole nother topic for a whole different stream. But what an amazing singer! And that particular song, you're right, is just, it's another one that brings the waterworks on. It's just so intense. White Man, monster in capital letters. Monster, Brian May, beast, fucking killer. My favorite track on the album. Easy. Good old fashioned Loverboy. Another campy Freddie, pop Freddie track, but I love it. Drowse, those hazy shades, those hazy slide guitars, man. Just that lazy, dreamy Taylor vocal, da, 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 da. So freaking good. Da, 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 da. Probably my second favorite song, and not by much, man. It could almost be number one if White Man wasn't so damn good. Fuck, I love that song, dude. God, I love that song. Rouse, that is. Teo's an okay track. It kind of comes and goes before I really give it much attention. Love this album. It's my fourth favorite, especially with the standout tracks being so incredibly good. But also, most of the album is pretty, for me, is pretty solid all the way through. I'm going to give this a 9. It's a 9. Yeah.
Yep. Can't really argue.
Okay, we're going to go on to, and again, you reiterate that the year and the amount of 5 albums in 3.5 years?
Yeah, first record came out July 73. We just did Day at the Races, which is December 76.
That's crazy,
3
man.
years and 5 months. They put
That
out
is-
Queen, Queen 2, Sheer Heart Attack, Night at the Opera, and Day at the Races.
That's just ridiculously stupid.
Queen 2 and Sheer Heart Attack came out 8 months apart in 1974.
I mean, you know, Rush kind of did a similar thing in that their debut album came out in 74. Then they put out Fly By Night, Caress of Steel, and 2112, all in basically 2 years. From 74 to late 76 when and I mean Rush again, that's, I hate to bring it back to that, but you know, 77 was Farewell to Kings, 78. Then right after 2112 is when they started to do about an album a year. But prior to that, they basically put out 4 albums in about 2.5 years.
Yeah,
so
that's
a lot of
the Stones and the Beatles were doing 2 albums a year the whole way through the 60s. That was what the music industry expected back then.
Yep. It's crazy when you think about it. It's crazy when you think about it in terms of the fact that they were also going out and touring as well.
Yeah.
So no wonder there was a prolific use of cocaine and stimulants. All right, man. Next up, we've got News of the World.
Yeah.
Which is my first Queen album that I bought. This isn't the original one I had, but
yeah, released. It was recorded between July and September 1977. Released in October 77. I still can't get over these fast turnaround times.
I know.
This one took a little bit longer. This is like 5 weeks between finishing recording and release, but still pretty fast. Recorded in London at Psalm Studios again and Wessex Sound, EMI and Elektra. This one was not produced by Roy Thomas Baker.
That's right.
It was produced by the band and co-produced by Mike Stone and the band. Mike Stone engineered it.
Mike Stone is a big name too. Later on, he's a big '80s guy. Then, does a lot of the US stuff. I gotta say, you know, the first 2 Queen albums, well, the first 3 Queen albums. Let's be honest, the artwork is not very imaginative. It gets a little better when we get to Night of the Opera. It's kind of a, you know, a little bit more artistic and whatnot. And then, of course, it kind of bookends here. This is the first album where the artwork really steps up. I love the artwork for this. Need to get a shirt with this on it, man. There's some good ones out there.
That was the other shirt I was going to wear today. It was my
you have it?
Shirt. It's a black and white one that's got the robot. It's the robot.
You have it?
Robot called Frank.
What's that?
I think the robot's called Frank. Like last time I saw Queen with Adam Lambert, they did it as like it must have been something like 45 years of News of the World or something. Shit. Maybe 40 years, I don't know.
That's
so they
crazy,
had like a giant Frank's hand holding up Brian to do his guitar solo on and stuff. They had a giant dude that came over the back of the stage and stuff, Maiden style. It was fun.
Just want to say hi to Cosmic Pallbearer. You're probably new here. I haven't seen your name before. So just what do you say? Buddy is obsessed with Queen. So I've been getting back through some songs I've never heard from. How's it going, man? Yeah, man. So many deep cuts with Queen. You know, we all kind of know if you're remotely familiar with the band and you're in that age range that you're not 20 or 17. And even then you may, if you're a music appreciator, you'll know some good, some very good, you know, Queen stuff, but so many deep tracks. We're going to talk about a bunch of those on this album because that's where I really hang out on this. So go ahead, Tom.
It opens with the 2 songs that were going to close most of the Queen shows in their later career. We Will Rock You and We Are the Champions. Come on. Like, it's the first 5 minutes of your album is those 2 songs. Unbelievable. Like 2 of the most instantly recognizable and popular rock songs anyone has ever done.
Absolutely.
They've done track 3 is they've done that thing where they've got a song with the title of an album where it's not on the album with Sheer Heart Attack. You know, the song was just left over from those sessions, maybe, I guess, and they decided not to release it yet. It finally makes its appearance here. Ended up being a live staple for several years. The 2 songs on the rest of this album that I really love are Spread Your Wings, which is the John Deacon song on this album, and It's Late, a Brian May composition that I honestly wasn't totally familiar with until that tour I was just talking about, where they did a lot.
Tom, I need to interrupt real quick. Sorry. I have to say hello to a very special person in the chat. That would be my daughter. Hello, Madison. I miss you and I love you so much. Thanks for popping in, hang out a little bit. This is Tom.
Hey, Maddie.
And
I should
Tom is
probably say as well. This is House who's keeping me company here.
what's the name?
House.
House.
Yeah, he's got a brother called Wilson. It's after the TV show House MD.
Ah, House. Yes. Gotcha. Cool,
He's just chilling and causing problems.
That's killer. You have how many?
2.
Two. Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
And you're always petting your cats in various. Your cats are always lurking around when you're doing your riffs and
of course,
cool stuff.
Trying to get me to put down the guitars and spend more time like stroking them, which
absolutely.
It's fair. He's getting a good go tonight.
Cool. All right, so go ahead back to Queen News of the World.
Yeah, the other tune is It's Late, which I wasn't super familiar with before that tour, but I was checking out the set list before I went to the show and saw it was on there. And I guess they decided to bring it back because it rules, and it does. So it's a heavy rocker. It's got all the good Queen trademarks, the massive stacked backing vocals, great guitar playing. Get Down, Make Love deserves a mention as well.
Absolutely.
Freddie Mercury composition, pretty sleazy, pretty groovy, pretty like dark, honestly, kind of like mysterious sounding. Yeah, there's a few songs on here that are just not popping into my head right now. This isn't an album I've spent a lot of time with. I think Spread Your Wings is, for me, that's the song that if I was showing this album to someone who only knew We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions, that's a tune I'd suggest they listen to.
Great song. Great song. Where are you going with it? Where are you going with this one?
My score for this album is 8.75.
Okay, pretty high. Yeah, so obviously those two amazing, great tunes that I never need to hear again, but when I do hear them, I'm like not turning them off. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like there are songs that I hear now sometimes, Sweet Child of Mine, where I hear it and I'm like, I don't want to hear it. I just don't want to hear it. You know, Welcome to the Jungle. Don't want to hear it. I just don't. It's like I will move on from that. You know what I mean? But it's hey, what's up, Frederick? What's happening, buddy? Yeah, so but still they're Queen's songs that are overplayed are just so damn good you can't turn them off. You just can't, you know. Sheer Heart Attack, major rocker that has a bit of a punk vibe to it, and Taylor's voice absolutely rips, and that chorus is so goddamn good on this song. What a chorus. All Dead, May's track, just amazing. It's so fucking good. Spread Your Wings, I love this track. Big favorite on the album. So damn melodic and catchy. Killer great solos from Brian May. Fight from the Inside is a bit of a funky metallic jam with typical rock star vocals from Taylor. He's got 2 tracks on this one. And the killer stacked vocals on the harmonies. Great stuff. Sleeper track. Really like Fight from the Inside. Get Down, Make Love. Freddie's very naughty song. He's talking very naughty, and it rips. I really love this song. It's just a cool song. The lyrics, a little bit weird. You know, it says when it kicks in, it says, "You say you hungry, I give you meat.
Yeah.
Off your mind, you blow my head. Get down, make love." Yeah, it's a little, the PMRC would have had a field day with this in the 80s, I believe.
Definitely.
And that was only 5 or 6 years later. But this song kicks ass. I love Get Down, Make Love. Sleeping on the Sidewalk, a real nice bluesy shuffle with May, going all out on the blues rocker, chill the vibe. Who Needs You? Kind of a weird calypso acoustic track with.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, it's a very strange song that doesn't really fit the album. It's kind of seems like a filler track, although the flamenco solos by May are really, really cool. I don't hate it, but it just kind of feels like a lesser track compared to the other ones. It's Late. Yes. What a song, man. That's this monster killer rocker, May rocker, that has very distinctive guitar work. The chorus is so killer, epic, and massive, and so good. Lots of massive guitar groove. And again, it's that it's late, but not too late.
Not too late.
Yeah. And then you got Mike Melancholy Blues. Nice little Freddie jazzy kind of bar room sort of rant. This is my first Queen album and how I became aware of them. And it's one I kind of forgot a little bit until I was listening to it earlier today. And I was like, damn, completely forgot how great this album is. And this album rules. It's the cut, especially the deeper cuts on this one, which you don't hear as much, like Spread Your Wings and Get Down, Make Love. And, It's Late. This is an 8.75, mainly because as much as the first two are classics, I just don't really want to hear them. But, I probably won't,
That's the same number I gave it too, 8.75.
Yeah. Yeah, it's killer though. It's a killer album.
Yeah.
I would have no problem at all saying start here. That's the weird thing about Queen. For the most part, with the exception of a handful of albums which are coming up, we could say start with any of these albums. You maybe not on Queen 2. I can understand why you made that. You nailed it for sure. Why that's a little bit more of a difficult first start album, because it's a lot more complex than probably all their other.
I feel like Queen 2 is like Queen were throwing like as many ideas as they could in,
Yeah. I agree with you completely.
Because they could, and they were just young and they were pushing themselves, and there was nobody saying no.
Yep, that's another good point. Roy Thomas Baker wasn't saying, nah, that's not a good idea. He was going, yeah, you want to do 7 different sections to that song, Great King Rack? Let's do it.
Exactly.
Or, I mean, not Great
March of the Black
Father
Queen.
to Son. Father to Son.
Yeah. Well, yeah, all of that album's pretty out there.
All right, man. Next up, we got Jazz. Hang on one second here.
I got a Jazz.
All right. Oh, you got it. Cool. I'll let you show yours.
There it is. Lots of little bicycles on the bottom there.
That's right.
What's really cool on this version is the pink Jazz is embossed on the back and front.
Oh, sweet.
Mirror imaged on the back.
Is that an OG copy or?
It is an OG copy. And you got this lovely gatefold shot of them in the studio. Hang on. There we go. Them in the studio, like a lovely big wide shot of it in the middle.
Yeah. Awesome.
So recorded between July and October 1978, released in November 78. They left the UK to record this one. It was recorded in Mountain Studio in Montreux, Studio Miraval in Caron, and Super Bear in Bear-les-Alpes. So they went to France for this one. Came out on EMI and Elektra, and then also Areola in France. And they're back with Roy Thomas Baker. The dream team is reassembled.
Yes.
I think the reason they decided to record this in France is they got a tax bill. And like most fans, they got the fuck out. And I think it was Bowie actually convinced them to record in Montreux.
I think you're right, because Bowie left. Bowie left too. That was a lot of tax exile stuff going on with British bands around that era.
Yeah, it's not something I'm particularly, it's good that people pay tax and shit, but they didn't, and good for them. And
no, you got to keep the Queen and her brood and finery, of course.
Well, yeah, now she's gone, actually. Fuck it.
That's true. That's true. She's gone. That's right.
As far as an album goes, this is definitely one of my favorite Queen records. It starts off with an extremely peculiar song written by Freddie Mercury called Mustafa.
Yeah.
Which consists of a bunch of English, Arabic, and Persian words, and some words that probably Freddie made up. This very strange, strong, like vocal beginning, which he would sometimes use some of those sections of vocals live as like intros to songs later on. Fat Bottom Girls is track 2. Interesting fact I learned about this song today is all of those stacked vocals in the intro and the chorus, every single one of those vocals is Brian May, rather than being a combination of Mercury and Roger Taylor, which I thought is pretty cool. Songs in drop D, something that doesn't happen, one for the guitar nerds there, something that doesn't happen a lot in Queen songs at all. But it's it's Fat Bottom Girls.
Love that song.
It's a huge fucking banger. It's got really naughty lyrics.
Left
Alone with Big Fat Fanny, she was such a naughty nanny. Like when I was like a 9-year-old boy listening to that, I didn't know what I was listening to, but I liked it. It's still in the live set. Fucking cool song. What we got next? Jealousy, an acoustic tune. Bicycle Race is a really strange song. It's ridiculously complex. It's got modulations, time changes. Famous music video where Queen managed to get a whole load of ladies to bicycle naked around a sports stadium in London.
Speaking of which, Robert was very excited about this, so I don't want to let my fans down at all, because Robert, are you allowed to see this? Are you old enough to see this?
There it is.
And there it be. I honestly got to be blunt here. I thought that there was Bush in that, but there isn't. So there you go. And I'm not talking about the beer, by the way. Yeah, I thought there was. I guess I didn't remember correctly, but I was a little older than you, Robert, when I first saw that, so I'd kind of already been there, done that a little bit. So sorry about that. Go ahead, finish up.
If you can't beat him, join him. John Deacon Hard Rocker.
It's a good one.
It is a good one. That's a banging tune. I can imagine that being on one of the early Perry Journey albums or something.
Yeah.
Very melodic.
I agree.
Let Me Entertain You. I know this song. I've listened to the version on Live Killers more than the version on here, honestly, but it's kind of autobiographical tune. It's just about Queen, just going, hey, here we are. We're going to sing to you and we're going to like put on a show and we're going to entertain you. Nothing like the Robbie Williams song, which took over the charts in the UK in the late 90s with the same title. I don't know if that was a thing in the US, but if you're in the UK, you knew about that song, and it took a while to go away. So yeah, Let Me Entertain You. I think the most interesting song on this album from a guitar point of view is the first song on side 2, which is Dead on Time. It's a really fast song, and Brian May just fucking rips on this. So it's some of his fastest soloing. I don't think they ever played it live. It kind of got the same sort of vibe as Keep Yourself Alive, I guess.
Yeah.
Serious fucking guitar playing in that song. I was watching Brian May's Starlix video last week, his instructional VHS he filmed in like 83. Right. And he broke down a few of the sections of Dead on Time in there, and it's just great. I love hearing Brian May when he's just ripping at full speed. It doesn't happen very often, and that song is a great example of it. The rest of the album goes along. The next 3 songs, In Only 7 Days, the John Deacon tune. B-side for Don't Stop Me Now. Not my favorite on the album. Dreamer's Ball is cool. This is something that I notice as a theme, really. A lot of Queen albums will have at least one song that goes like really old-timey.
Yes.
And this is the one on this album. It's very Elvis.
Yep. It has that, well, you're saying Elvis, that's a good thing, but it's got that 50s vibe to it. That, almost not doo-woppy, but kind of doo-woppy. They're not doing doo-wop vocals, but they've got those kind of arrangements, almost like a big band sort of thing with a little bit of English camp in there,
Totally. And you have like Brian May like trying to do the job of what like the horn section would be doing on
exactly. Yep.
So yeah. Oh, actually, it says vocal brasses here. It might have been May and Taylor doing some of that stuff there. Oh no, my cat is getting bored and annoyed. Calm down, buddy. I think he's trying to escape. I'm going to try and keep him here at least for another minute. Fun It is basically, I would say, like the precursor to Another One Bites the Dust. Like a kind of funky, like disco-y track, which Roger Taylor sang and wrote. It's not great, but like it was very, very early for using electronic drums and that kind of thing. You can totally see what was going to happen later. Leaving Home Ain't Easy is a pretty emotional Brian May song. It's about leaving home and how it ain't easy. It's pretty lush, pretty like middle of the road Queen album track ballad, I would say. Yeah, I can see James talking about Don't Stop Me Now in the comments. Don't Stop Me Now is the next tune. Everyone knows that. It's one of the like most fun, uplifting songs ever. It's a beautiful tune. Like I absolutely love the guitar solo in this song. It's
I'm sorry, for which one? Which one?
Don't Stop Me Now.
Yeah, it's a great song.
Yeah, right. Like 8-bar guitar solo, maybe does absolutely everything it should. I haven't talked about Brian May's guitar playing in any depth so far, and maybe I shouldn't because I might not stop. But there's just something about the lyrical way he manages to coax guitar solos, and all of his leads sound, I don't know, man. I can't even articulate it properly. But I know it's something to do with the fact that he played with a halfpenny coin rather than a pick.
That's right. He does do that. And he built his own guitar, him and his dad.
Yeah, that guitar, like on the Starlix video, like I finally learned what all the dials and knobs do on that, and a lot of it's to do with putting pickups in and out of phase.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not something you can do easily on like a factory-made Les Paul or a Strat or something. But his guitar is all about it. It's like I want the combination of these two pickups, and I want them out of phase, or I want these two pickups out of phase. I want just this pickup. And it just, especially because of the way that he would use the coin, I think, you just get these crazy like overtones and harmonics, which, you know, as a guitar player, I try and play these solos, and I've never, ever played a solo that sounds like a Brian May one. And it's only in the last week after watching that and realizing how light the strings he was using were and like how delicate his touch must be, I thought, nobody can sound like him. Like the way his guitar is designed and built, like the Don't Stop Me Now is a great example of that. And I don't think any of it was really it was all like kind of like in the moment. He'd think, I have this problem and I need to solve it. It's probably how the treble booster got into his rig, which is like famously the most important part of his pedal board. Simply because with his guitar plugged into a Vox AC30, it would sound muddy. So it's like, I need this to cut through.
Yeah.
But
and
yeah.
he still, there's a video out there somewhere where I guess they're doing, it's fairly recent, I want to say in the last, I don't know, 8-10 years, where he's got a fucking arsenal of AC30s. It's just not one or two. He's running multiple channels, and once you explain in and out of phase what that means for those people that don't that might be in here that might be interested.
I would love to. I can't. I just know that they are things, and I know what they sound like, but I don't know why. My technical knowledge of how guitars work is extremely poor.
Yeah, I think it's the way the polarity is, right? The polarity of the magnets. That's what I always understood.
Opposite magnetic polarity or opposite winding direction turned on. Two pickups that have opposite winding direction or opposite magnetic polarity are turned on at the same time.
Right.
Like most people will like do whatever they can to avoid phase issues, but sometimes you can use them by design. Like Jimmy Page used an out of phase position on his Les Paul quite a lot. Peter Green was the most famous one.
Mm-hmm.
It's a very nasal sound, which will you lose a lot of the mids and the lows, but it will really cut through.
Exactly. So it's a good lead tone if you boost it.
Yes.
And then I mean, you know, like, and we're talking like again, as someone mentioned, yeah, I believe that was built out of a fireplace.
Yes.
Wood from a fireplace. That's correct.
He built it with his dad.
Now, as far as I know, they did do some actual production line copies of that, but from what I gathered, I think there was only, we'd have to look it up, but I think it was only like 100 of them made, and the price tag was ridiculous, man. I mean, I don't remember what it was. I want to say 10 grand for some reason. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but
there've been a few runs over the years. The first
has there been?
The first one was in the 80s, and those ones were very limited and very expensive.
Right.
Yeah, Brian's got replicas now that he has out on the road with him. Like he has a green one, which I think is his drop D one for playing live.
Yeah, he doesn't take the original out anymore. Yeah,
I would be shocked if he did. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it lives somewhere safe at home.
Yeah, for sure.
There's one more track at the end, more of that jazz, which is kind of loop based, and it's like calls back to some of the other moments that have already happened on the album. Roger singing on it. It's a cool and unusual end to the album.
I think that's a great fucking guitar song, dude. There's a lot of cool guitar shit going on that song. You're right that there is a loop at the very end. Not the bulk of the song is not the loop, but then they pull the other a lot of the I guess you'd call the taglines of some of the other songs in at the end there. I fucking love that song. I'll rip through this one quick. A lot of people say, well, this is the last really good I mean good of the 70s era, because this was when did it come out? 80, right?
78.
No, 78. That's right. The last of the great albums from Queen. I disagree, because I think there's one that's coming up that's exceptionally good, and I think the next one's not a bad, or two more actually. Actually, I think 3 more albums are actually good. Are they as good as the 70s work? Probably not, but this is a really, really good album. Did you give this a mark?
8.5.
Nice. I didn't expect that. Mustafa, really highlights Freddie's incredible vocal abilities. That said, I don't really like this song. It bugs me. Mustafa. And like you said, it's all kind of weird made up words and Turkish words, and it just bugs me. I'm an American. I just want English. No, I'm just kidding. Fat Bottom Girls, man, those killer choruses, that killer riff. That riff is so goddamn good, man. As a guitar player, you just wish you wrote a riff like that, right? You know, you're like, Jealousy, solid Freddie piano ballad, a bit straightforward, but great vocals. Bicycle, I love this song, man. Those bass lines on here are super cool from Deacon. The mention of Jaws, Star Wars, Watergate, Vietnam, etc., etc., and the lyrics are kind of their time, obviously. Many references, but those big choruses with the choral vocals where they layer and stack, so fucking good. So fucking good. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, and then the vocals when the bike chimes all kick in, and then that giant Killer May solo, that call and response. Man, what a great fucking song. Bicycle, bicycle, I want to ride. You know, I can't do a stream without singing a little bit, Tom. You know. If you can't beat them, good rocker with a very noticeable use of chords in many big songs of that era. It's like those chords. I'm like, oh, I know those chords. Like those, like it's a patented chord sequence that I've heard in a million other songs. Let me entertain you. Rocking, ballsy, bluesy, jammy track with some great guitar work by May and Spitfire vocals by Freddie. Let me entertain you. Great, great fucking song. Dead on Time again, like you mentioned, very up tempo, very riffy rocker, very memorable chorus on that one. In Only 7 Days, meh. Dreamer's Ball, it's a fun Freddie campy track. Like you said, they almost do one every album, really. I mean, Jesus was kind of the weird one, kind of with a little bit of the Great Fairy or Great King Rat, and then Fairy Feller, and each album kind of has one of these.
Yeah, bring back Leroy Brown, I guess would be the one on Shit Heart Attack.
Yeah, and then off of Night at the Opera is probably Millionaire Waltz or Seaside Rendezvous. You could do that one too in there. They both fit. Fun It. All right. Taylor and Mercury co-leads. And man, this track smokes, dude. It smokes.
Really?
Yeah, I can't not fucking like it because I love, and I'm surprised you don't like it because you're a funk guy. You love that 70s groovy funk. Maybe it's because it's Queen.
It's pretty good, but you know, I hear it
Queen, and you don't like.
I hear it more as a kind of figuring out how that shit works before they really like dialed it in with.
I agree.
Bites the Dust.
You're right. It's a precursor to that, no doubt. What do I got here? Has all the funk and riffiness and fun in it. I Should Hate It. The lyrics are lame, but it kind of rips. And there's just some killer funk riffs and leads by May in this, man. It's kind of a weird fucking sleeper track. Again, the lyrics are pretty naff, though. They're pretty bad.
Yeah.
You notice I'm using some English words there.
Bit naff, yeah, I like it.
Yeah. Bit naff. I'm a bit chuffed by this one. Leaving Home Ain't Easy. May, gentle ballad, very gorgeous. Love it. So good. Sleeper track. Nice lilting chorus. Good fun. Don't Stop Me Now. Great tune. Big hit. Hard to deny this is a fun tune. You just can't, you can't get away from that. And then I really like more of that jazz, man. Taylor's Angular Rocker. It's pretty killer. The staccato riffs are pretty menacing for a pop rock band song. The vocals are killer. Great guitar. Shows that Roger was a badass guitarist. Apparently, if he wrote this, all of it, unless he just wrote all the basic, the lyrics and the vocal melody, and then Brian worked his guitar in around it, which is possible, I guess. This is a solid 8.25 for me. Just a notch below you. Couple of the Mustafa really pisses me off. I hate that track. All right.
Yeah, Freddie was Persian born, wasn't he? And I guess Freddie's bringing a little bit of his family history in there because he was born in like.
I thought he was born in. Where was he born? Morocco?
That's a great question. Where was Freddie Mercury born? I thought
no. It's Trinidad. Was it Trinidad?
He was born in Zanzibar, but I think
Zanzibar is where? Morocco, right?
Zanzibar's Africa, I think.
Oh, is it his own country?
He lived in India as a child, and then he fled to England at a young age with his
Tanzania. Is that Tanzania? Robert's probably right. Robert spends a lot of time on this stuff.
Zanzibar was
Zanzibar its own country? I
think
got to be honest, I don't remember from.
it was. It doesn't
Was.
exist anymore. I think it's Kenya now.
Well, listen, sue me because I haven't been in school in fucking 40 years. So there.
Very much looking at Wikipedia for that one.
All right. Well, you're all wrong. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
Zanzibar was correct. Anywho, yeah. So we got this one next. You don't have this one, or do you do?
Let's have a look at the big pile of records here. No, I do not. I will say that between the last record and this one is Live Killers, and we're not talking about live albums today. But if we were, it would be getting a 10 out of 10. And
I was going to say, go ahead and give it a quick riff if you want.
Live Killers, it's a double album. It's all the best material. Well, not all the best material. It's pretty light on the first two albums, but for sheer heart attack through jazz, they play all the best shit. They play it really, really well. It's an astonishingly strong live album. I still love it. This is probably the Queen thing I listen to the most. It's got the first version of We Will Rock You on it, which I fucking love, and I wish they'd recorded a studio version of. Yeah. That, for me, that is almost like drawing a line in the sand. It's like, here ends early Queen. Like, those are the first 7 albums.
I agree.
Now there's 8 to go with Live Killers kind of in the middle.
Yep.
Let's go to The Game in 1980. Recorded between June and July 1979, and then not released till June 1980. That's a year gap.
Holy mackerel.
What happened there?
Yeah, what?
The 80s.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure why there was such a long gap. I guess this is probably the point at which Queen start getting burned out, because they've been working very hard for like 7 years now.
And not only that, they're all probably multi-millionaires finally.
I would hope so, yeah. It sold a lot of copies, this one, and it had some massive hits on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we'll all be familiar with, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, and Another One Bites the Dust, and probably Save Me as well, and Play the Game.
Yeah.
Not bad, just 4 gigantic songs right there. Dragon Attack is a cool tune that stayed in the live set for a few years. Kind of funky. Rocket and Don't Try Suicide, not the strongest moments of Queen's career. Need Your Loving Tonight as well. But Sail Away Sweet Sister, a song that's got Brian May on the lead vocals for the most part, and a song that he wrote. I think that's an incredible song. First time I ever heard that was actually on a Guns N' Roses bootleg. Axl Rose used to sing it as an intro to Sweet Child of Mine sometimes on the Use Your Illusion tour. And it was wanting to know what that was and where it came from that led me to probably downloading illegally a copy of The Game and going like, holy shit, it was a Queen song. And it's a great Queen song. Why had I never heard of that before? So yeah, Sail Away Sweet Sister for me is the sleeper like album making moment of glory on this, because everyone knows I've got Crazy Little Thing Called Love and Another One Bites the Dust and Save Me and Play the Game. Those are messages that we've all grown up and lived with. But yeah, Sail Away Sweet Sister, that song for me is absolute perfection and one of the finest moments in the whole of Queen's catalogue.
Yeah, this is, I don't know, can you hear this?
That's Dragon Attack.
Yep, there you go. I mean, it's a great little riff, man.
Hell yeah.
I don't have any picks on me, but I love that riff, and it's so simple. It's just a simple riff. So probably a bass riff. I'm gathering Deacon may probably have pulled that together. I don't know, but
could have.
Yeah.
Brian's got the writing credit.
I'm sorry?
Brian's got the writing credit, but who knows?
Oh, it was Brian. Okay. All right. I didn't really remember this album until I picked it up today and started listening to it again. And first of all, obviously there's Play the Game, Another One Bites the Dust, Crazy Little Thing, and what was the other one you said? Save Me?
Save Me, yeah.
Yeah. I didn't remember Save Me, and I like it. I didn't find it as amazing as some people seem to.
Yeah, it was on my greatest hits album.
Okay.
Save Me, quite a few songs from this album. Another One Bites the Dust, Play the Game. They were all on this, so they were songs I already knew when I first got a copy of this one. Crazy Little Thing Called Love as well, obviously.
Ah, okay.
So yeah, 4 songs on the greatest hits.
That's pretty good. But once I listened to it, this album fared a lot better for me than I would have thought it would have. The Game has a bit of Our House in there. Did you ever notice that? Like the Our House. Da, 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 da. If you listen to it in the verse, it's there. I can hear it.
Interesting.
And Don't Talk Me Out of It, man.
Oh, right.
I'm not sure which came out first. I would imagine Our House did though, because that was that Crosby, Stills and Nash, or was it just
Yeah,
Nash?
Crosby, Stills and Nash.
Okay, yeah. And then you've got Dragon Attack, man. But back to the game real quick. Play the game. That where did I put it? Very memorable. Plus, May kicks ass in this. His licks in this are killer. There's a great bunch of solos on the play of the game. They're just amazing.
Definitely, yeah. It kind of follows the vocal melody and then just like plays with it a little bit.
He does, but first of all, it's his sound.
Yeah.
So whenever you hear his sound, you're like, oh man, it's just one of those things. You were saying you can't articulate it, and neither can I. It's just he just has that Brian May unique sound that, not a lot of guitar. It's like Eddie Van Halen, or, there are guitarists that just, they create a sound and nobody else can do it. Geordie from Killing Joke. Nobody sounds like Geordie. He didn't really ever play leads, but that attack that he has, that weird chorusy, washy stereo thing, nobody does that. Nobody has that sound, And Brian May's that way too. I love him. But Dragon Attack rips, funky, badass, slinky as fuck. That riff. Oh yeah. Another one bites the dust. Can't hate it. As much as I want to, I can't hate it. You just can't. Do 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 do. And then you got the little funk guitar in it. Down 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 down. Ah, it's so good. I know my my articulation there on the sounds of the that's really cool. Need Your Loving Tonight. Great pop song that has a weird vibe from Freddie. Almost doesn't sound like him, oddly. Killer solos on that one. Crazy Little Thing. I want to hate it, but I can't hate it. It's just too good a song, man. It's just so good. And fucking Brian May's solo on it. Oh, can it get any better? Can't get any better. Rocket. Prime Jive. Okay, not a fan. It's not awful, but it's not great either. There's like they're a 50s band, and Taylor's vocals are kind of cheesy on that one. The synths on that one are really lame. Don't like that one either. Don't Try Suicide. Yeah, not my thing. Kind of, especially since it's a serious topic, but the upbeat nature and the funk vibe of it is really quite shit. I was just talking like an English guy again.
It's a bit shit, yeah.
I'm doing this for you, man. This is all for you, bro.
I appreciate it.
Sail Away, Sweet Sister, Brian May ballad. Dramatic and fairly cool melodies, despite the synths being a little bit. I'm not in love with that song as much as you. I like it. I don't love it. Save Me, Killer Freddy. Oh, Killer Freddy ballad. Awesome solos by May. Epic big killer chorus. This isn't a shit album like a lot of people feel, but it's flawed for sure. Still, generally, there are a lot more hits than misses on this album. The highs are very high. The lows are just sort of there and can be listened to and tolerated. I give it a 7.5, which I didn't expect to. I thought I was going to shit on that album. So, Flash Gordon, we're going to try something, guys. We're going to try this. And I don't know if it's going to work, but we'll try it. And actually, I want to pull my phone up to see if it works. So neither one of us have this album. Wait a minute here. And so I'm going to try to do this sharing the screen thing. Is that right? Share screen. Share screen. We're going to do Brave tabs, and we're going to do this. Nope, that's hot space. Wrong one. Nope. There it is. How about that? Can you all see that? Hang on. Can you see that, Tom?
I can.
Okay. I want to let I want to see what I see. Just give me one moment, guys, because I want to see if it actually shows in the live broadcast. Maybe someone could tell me. Of course, actually, I have that covering the whole stream. So hang on, Tom. Give me 1 second here. I want to see what pops up. Come on now. There we go. It worked. I love it. All right. So Flash Gordon, there's the album cover. Very kind of shit album cover, if you ask me. No mention of Queen on there that I'm aware of on the album. And what do we have to say about this?
It's a soundtrack album
Yeah,
for a movie, which I have never seen.
it kind of sucks, to be honest with you.
It might have been a really good soundtrack for the movie. I don't know because I've never seen it. I always quite like the song "Flash." It was on my greatest hits album. And,
You mean the theme song,
yeah.
Master of the Universe? That one?
No, that's Princess of the Universe. That's on on the Works. I'm talking about something that's like Flash.
Yeah, okay.
That one's pretty cool.
That's a good one. I agree. That one and Princess is not bad either.
But that's on the Works, isn't it? No, it's not on the Works. What?
No, it's on the album.
But that was from Highlander.
Oh, you're right. That is. What am I talking about here? The last track. What's the last track on there? Let me look. Hold on. The final track. I don't know what it's called. I thought it was called
The Hero.
The Hero. That's it. Yeah. Hero. That one's not bad. You pointed out the wedding theme, which is the guitar stuff.
Yeah,
the rest of it's just full of dialogue, and it's like a lot of synthy stuff and a lot of, I don't know, man. Like if I found this for $1 or $2 or $3, if I was in, I don't know, if I was in a store and if I saw it for $2 or $3, I'd grab it just to be a completist.
Yeah,
but I'll never ever spend 15 or 18 or whatever on this thing. Never.
I if Queen were asked to do a soundtrack album and then they did, like, I'm sure they did a good job of it.
But yeah.
I listened to it in full for the first time like 3 days ago in isolation while I was working without having the movie to go with it. So like, I don't have a valuable opinion on this at all.
Yeah, I don't either.
Flash is pretty cool.
Yeah, I don't have any opinion on either because I gotta be honest with you, I kind of fast forwarded through every track. It just didn't interest me that much. It's not if it's not John Carpenter or Badalamenti or Vangelis, I'm probably not listening to it.
I will say that just any occasion where Brian Blessed is just like bellowing like as loudly as he can, like that's a good time. And I think he played Ming the Merciless in this movie.
Yeah, Low, like, I think
Gordon's alive, all that stuff like that. He's got
that stuff. You're right. It's like crazy. The vocal, the dialogue comes through like piercingly, right?
Yeah. Especially him. It's famously such a loud voice. Very famous British actor.
James, you're asking me when Low came out. I'm trying to remember. That was 77.
Yeah, I think what the guys are talking about in the chat is how for the previous album, The Game, like the band moved to Berlin to record that one, and Freddie was super into the clubs and the gay scene there. And I think that's kind of where, like, also like the rise of like Michael Jackson's solo career. That's kind of what inspired Another One Bites the Dust, I think, and what's coming next.
Yeah.
Do you have a score?
Yeah, I believe Low was 77. I'm pretty sure because he put out Low, Heroes, and Lodger in like 2 years, I believe the three of them came out.
And that's while he was in Berlin, right?
He went there to clean up, I believe, from the station to station stuff that was going on where he was, and Diamond Dogs. And he went there with Jim, better known as Iggy. And they kind of both cleaned up. Bowie was, really having issues with coke, and I believe Jim, or rather Iggy, was having heroin issues, and so they kind of moved into Berlin and they did their thing there. Yeah, and that was long before the wall. Well, not long, but when did the wall come down? 86,
mid-80s, yeah,
86 or 88. So yeah, really, really cool. And those three are three of my favorite Bowie albums. We'll get to Bowie in next Tuesday when my daughter and I do the deep dive there. All right, so where are we at, dude? We're at
Hot Space now. I don't feel happy giving Flash a score because it's a soundtrack album.
Yeah, I don't either. I wouldn't give it a score because I didn't really give it the kind of, and really I try these deep dives are primarily just studio albums, and that was a studio album, but it was a soundtrack album. So where were you at on I'm sorry, The Game? What'd you give it?
I gave The Game 8.25.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. What did I do? I did a 7.5, right?
I think so. Wait.
7.5, yeah. 7.5. Okay, Hot Space. We're gonna do the share thing again.
Because I'm such a
fucking pro at it now.
Yeah, man. Technological masterclass.
This is awesome, dude. I love it. I love it. I am going to. Okay, now that's that. Nope, no, that's that one. We'll get rid of that one. How about this one here? How are we looking? Nothing?
Not seeing it yet.
Nope. Nope. There we go. There we go. All
Okay.
right. Chew. I'm
There it
chuffed.
is.
I'm chuffed.
So slightly like Andy Warhol style artwork there. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, very much so. Exactly. And we gotta do this one.
Yeah.
And this is an album that wasn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be, but it really wasn't much better than I thought it was gonna be either. You know, it has one monster motherfucking track on it that's a beast, and we all know what that track is, and I'm sure you probably feel similarly, I would assume. What you got to say about this one, Tom?
They recorded it between 81 and 82 in Montreux and in Switzerland, and also in Munich. Came out in May 1982. The positive thing I've got to say about this album is it's got Under Pressure in it, which came out as a single the year before the album did, like for like 6 or 7 months. It's a duet with David Bowie, and it's one of Queen's best songs. The rest of the album, it's a big change. It's like they looked at what happened, the success Another One Bites the Dust had, and said, okay, let's go fully into that world. Let's not make it a guitar-heavy album. Let's try and pick up on what's going on in current like disco and pop and dance trends. Yeah, and that's what they do. You know, for that style of music, it's fine. You know, it probably fits in pretty nicely with what else was going on. In Queen's catalogue, it kind of stands out as a misstep. But, you know, fair play to them for doing it, especially Freddie wanted to, because he was living that kind of like that nightlife in Munich. There's a quote on the Wikipedia page here. So it was Roger Taylor criticizing the producer, I think. Oh, no, it was Freddie Mercury's personal manager, Paul Prenter. Taylor said, Prenter wanted the music to sound like you just walked into a gay bar, and I didn't. So the band was like partying their asses off, drink, drugs, like complete mess while they were recording it. The producer didn't like rock music, so he didn't want to make a rock music album.
Right.
But it's very hard. Like this album came out before I was born, so it's very hard for me to imagine this album in the context of its time, you know, and what other music had come out. And because to me, I listen to this and it just sounds like an extremely dated, extremely specific moment in like kind of pop dance history of early drum machines and stuff. But at the time, perhaps it was breaking some ground. I don't know. But I can't really tell from that perspective. I'm sure that all Queen's rock fans hated the shit out of this when it came out.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. That was 82.
Yeah.
So I was a sophomore in high school. You were still in diapers, probably.
No, I wasn't born.
Oh, you weren't? When were you born?
New Year's Eve, 1982.
Oh, shit.
Like 8 months after this album came out.
Damn, dude. Fuck, I'm old. Fuck, I'm old. Yeah, you know, the game I liked when it came out. I was a freshman in high school, but I was also getting heavily into Rush, Judas Priest, Iron Maiden. I was definitely moving into metal a lot. And
right, yeah, I knew British heavy metal was happening.
Exactly. And hearing this was like, what? Like, what the fuck are you doing here? James, I'm going to get to comments after we're done. I'll go back and kind of cherry pick some comments. I can't keep up and keep my train of thought going. Sorry. I mean, with my illness, it's very hard to stay linear. If I get tangential, Tom will be pissed at me because we're already at 2 hours. I want to wrap this up in 30, 35 minutes or 40 minutes. So where was I at? Fuck. Oh yeah. I'm a sophomore in high school and I'm into Killers and, you know, or not Killers, fucking would have been
was Number of the Beast out yet?
Number of the Beast. Thank you. Number of the Beast. Yeah. And yeah, that was out. And you know, Rush is on 82. They're on the Signals. Yeah, Signals. Yes, Signals. And you know, that's the shit I'm listening to, dude. I'm not going into this pop dance shit. I just am not into it. Even though I liked Tears for Fears and some of the more creative stuff, this wasn't created to me. So, did you go through any of the songs? You pull anything out that was standing out for you?
No, honestly, I've listened to this album once all the way through. I mean, I
Okay.
think there was, if I remember right, I've got a live album from 1982 where they played at the Milton Keynes Bowl in England, and I think they played a couple of tunes live on that. Maybe Staying Power, I think, possibly Body Language. Yeah, but no, I haven't given this album an awful lot of thought or time. I think it's just jarring to me how great Under Pressure is, and compared to the rest of the album.
Yeah, I give this a 4.5 out of 10, and I'll run through the tracks quick. There are a few okay tracks. The first thing you notice is the synths and the synth drums and the synth percussion and the sample percussion, and it's not good. You'd think a band with the kind of budgets that Queen would have, they would have the top shelf, gear and production, and it just doesn't sound very good. The core staying power, I have one word, no. Dancer. The chorus is catchy and there is good guitar amongst the terrible synths and samples and awful synth drums. Is it called Back Chat?
Yeah, Back Chat, John Deacon song.
Horrible synth drums, percussion shit. Ugh. The guitar is weedy and thin too, but somehow this song, despite being very 80s, I dig it. There you go. Body Language. What the fuck did I write there? When did this come out? No, those 80s. I put 90. It should say
82,
80.
yeah.
Yeah, those 80s warbly synths. I love them, but not on this song. Ugh. Action This Day. Jesus Christ, I forgot Queen wanted me or wanted. Okay. Jesus Christ, I forgot Queen wanted to be XTC for a hot minute, and they dialed this song up, and it sucks.
That was in the live set on the 82 tour as well. Yeah.
Fucking awful song.
Slightly better live.
Maybe.
That's the nicest thing I can say about it.
Put Out the Fire. Meh. Not bad compared to the rest of the album, except one song, which is brilliant. Life is Real for Lennon, keeping in mind that John Lennon was shot and killed December 8th, 1980. This comes out when again in 82?
Yeah, May 82.
Okay, so about a year and a half after Lennon was killed. I'm sure that John Lennon and Freddie were very good friends or knew each other very well. I'm sure that Brian May, that was pretty heavy for everybody back then. I was in 10th grade and that really hit me fucking hard because I was in my massive Beatles phase too. Calling All Girls, again, the XTC vibes and even some Flock of Seagulls and Ultravox. Don't hate it, but don't love it like I do those bands during this era. And I love XTC, love the Flock of Seagulls, and I love Ultravox. I don't like this album. Good Freddie ballad, cheesy but kind of sweet. Las Palabras de Amor.
Yeah.
What's that mean? Something
Words
of love. Hands of Love, is that it?
Words of Love.
What is it? Words. There you go.
Words of Love, yeah.
Cool Cat. The whole Police vibe and reggae vibe is weird to hear with Queen. It's weird and strange, but I like this track. I really like that track, actually. Probably my second favorite track other than the Body Language. Or no. Oh, not Body Language. Back Chat. And Under Pressure. Banger, one of Queen's greatest songs ever. I'm a Bowie nut, so I'm going to say that because I love fucking David Bowie. I believe David Bowie wrote this for Queen.
I think it came about from jamming in the studio.
I think David Bowie
wrote the lyrics. They wrote the verses that they sang each. John Deacon came out with the bass riff.
Really? I thought, man, I could have swore that he wrote this. Okay. Because Bowie wrote All the Young Dudes for Ian Hunter and Mott the Hoople and
yeah. When I saw Bowie live, he did perform Under Pressure.
As an aside, I was on with a couple of guys doing a stream, just a bullshit stream 2 weeks ago, and the one guy was a little lubed up, and I brought up somehow Dave Bowie came up, and he just started shitting all over Dave Bowie. And the great quote that he said was, "That guy paid guys to write songs for him." I'm like, yeah, just biting my tongue, biting my tongue, biting my tongue, biting my tongue. He couldn't even play any instrument. I'm like, no, you're right. The guy that was like a multi-instrumentalist played piano, guitar, synthesizer, saxophone, bass, you name it. The guy probably could fucking play it. You're right. He didn't write those songs for himself. No, of course not. Yeah, that was a tough one, but yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah. So I didn't hate this as much as I remembered. I did, as I did once upon a time. There are a few okay tracks and maybe 3 that stand out other than the one amazing song. Under Pressure raises the bar a full 2 or 3 points for me, so I gave it actually I gave it a 5. I lied. It's not 4.5. I looked at it wrong. It's a 5, and that's really based on Under Pressure being worth 2 to 3 points alone, and the other 2 tracks kind of bounce it up a little bit. So
now, I gave it 4 on the basis that Under Pressure was worth all 4.
I agree. Then I should be giving it like a 7.5. Then apparently,
yeah, it's a very good song.
All right, man. You do not have the next one, correct? The Works. No, you do have it. Sweet.
Yeah, I got this one last time I was in the UK for £5, which was a good amount of money to spend.
All right, if you want to read off the data.
Yeah, the data is it was recorded between August 83 and January 84, came out in February 84, recorded at the Record Plant Los Angeles, California, and Musicland Munich, West Germany. Released on EMI and Capitol, and the producer was a chap called Reinhold Mach.
Sounds like a good German name, right?
Sounds like a very German name, yeah. I don't know anything about that man. This is this what they would have called at the time a triumphant return to form? I guess it probably is.
Possibly, yeah. After that last album, for sure.
Yeah, it's got some good songs on it. You know, Radio Gaga, Tear It Up, It's a Hard Life, I Want to Break Free, Hammer to Fall, Is This the World We Created? That's a lot more good songs than Hot Space had on it.
By far.
And I think this marks the point at which all 4 members of Queen have had #1 singles that they wrote. Like,
that's a good point. I'm glad you brought that up.
Which is an unbelievable thing. Because I think I've got a list here. Freddie Mercury's #1, like Queen singles that were Freddie Mercury writes for Don't Stop Me Now, Bohemian Rhapsody, Somebody to Love, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, and We Are Champions. John Deacon had another one, Bites the Dust, I Want to Break Free, and You're My Best Friend. Roger Taylor had Radio Gaga and A Kind of Magic and These Are the Days of Our Lives. So he was the last one to get there. Brian May's had some early ones too. Fat Bottom Girls, We Will Rock You, and then Who Wants to Live Forever, which is a bit later. But yeah, at this point, this was Roger joined the club of being a #1 single songwriter in the band. And for me, that's one of the most special things about Queen. All 4 members wrote amazing songs. So many bands have like a leader or be like, oh, wow, look at Maiden. Like Bruce and Adrian wrote 2 songs on this album and like the rest were like 9-minute long Steve Harris songs.
Yeah.
You know, but Queen never had that problem. Like it was never kind of like, I'm the writer. You know, they always give more credit to whoever brought the idea in, but the songs would get worked on by everyone together.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert's just mentioned an important thing here, which was ending Queen's career effectively in the US with the I Want to Break Free video. There's a soap opera in the UK called Coronation Street, which is about life in a northern city called Manchester. The band dressed up in drag and pretended to like be a family. Like there's a schoolgirl, a grandma, the mum of the house. America couldn't deal with it.
Well, this is 1984, and gay people are still not people generally in America.
Yeah, AIDS is kicking off. Like
AIDS is kicking in. That's right. You got I think it was 86 that Rock Hudson was found out essentially, right? Was it 86? I think.
I don't know.
I believe it was 86. And then Freddie learns he has AIDS in 87 actually. And you know, the story I always understood with Freddie was that while he was gay and pretty flamboyantly so, I think he was pretty bi as well.
Yeah, that's what I've heard too. He had girlfriends and stuff.
Because when he would party, he would just, you know, do these orgies. And, you know, this was a time that, you know, frankly, and I don't want to sound like the old man that, you know, I'm going to sound like the old man here for a minute, but you guys, you know, Robert clearly is young. I don't know how, James, I'm not sure how old you are. I think you're older. I think you're probably in Tom's age range. And I don't know who else is here, but generally I tend to be the old guy when Chuck's not around. And a couple other people, but I'm generally the old man. And I will tell you that in 1984, 1985, 1986, I didn't have to necessarily worry about it much because I wasn't going out to bars yet. But, in 86, 87 and closer to 90, you started to have situations where AIDS was not just entirely a gay disease anymore. It was mostly a gay disease, and primarily, obviously, San Francisco, New York, obviously San Francisco heavily, because gay people there was a huge gay community out there, and they were openly accepted there. Whereas in a lot of other cities, like where I live, very rural, very conservative, very red, that was not cool. We had like 2 dudes in my class in 84 that were flamboyant, but they were definitely not out, and they were trying to hide it for the most part. So yeah, you had that whole thing that was really, really, it was very scary. You hardly even see it talked about anymore at all now because they've got retrovirals and treatments and whatnot. But back then, man, people were dying fairly quickly of this disease. In 3, 4, 5 years, they were HIV positive. Then they were, full blown AIDS, and they didn't survive long.
No.
So you're right. Very, very, very intense, very different. Okay. So James, you're 41. So even you were just being born in the 80s, and, having lived through it, I'm glad I wasn't a little bit older because I had the knowledge to go, okay, well, I got to be careful. But that doesn't mean a whole lot when you're 21, 22 and you're drinking and you're getting fucked up and you're going out to the bars. You're not checking with somebody. Hey, can I see? Are you sure you don't have AIDS? Did you have a recent test, or that kind of stuff like that? It was very weird times. Very weird times.
I don't know if it's the fact that AIDS was happening, or it's just like the general homophobia of like the United States.
And it very much was, Tom. And you know what else? Back then, saying the F word, and I don't mean fuck, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Was very commonplace. I mean, I did it, amongst my buddies. It'd be like, hey, and we're not talking about using it for a cigarette. We're talking about, calling someone something that we thought, and at the time it was an acceptable word, especially amongst bros. You know what I mean? We didn't do the bro thing. It was like, hey, you're acting like a blank, or you're, that kind of thing. It was definitely a derogatory thing. And that's why I'm very, very, I have a child that's trans, and it's like, I'm very hypersensitive to it now. So even if people say it like, and they don't necessarily mean it, the problem is they do kind of mean it, because it's the same way as using the N word. It's a derogatory comment for a class or a type of person.
Well, the joke was on the US because the negative reaction was so bad for the "I Want Spray Free" video. The band never played another show in the US.
Is that really? That's the case?
Yeah.
Wow. Before Freddie died, right?
Yeah. That was it. They never came back.
They did tour for the works though in Europe though, right?
Yeah, the rest of the world.
Okay, right.
Still played in Japan, Asia, huge shows in Europe, and for the next album as well. But
so I didn't catch what Robert said. Did they ban that video? Because I remember seeing it.
Yeah, MTV banned it because of the public uproar about it.
Yeah.
Terrible shame.
So you showed the album. I'm going to just, for historical purposes, show the OG cassette, my friend. This thing has been through the wars, and I played this thing relentlessly because I forgot about Hot Space. And there's a good reason, because this album fucking rules. I'm not lying. It rules. So you want to talk about some tracks quick?
Sure. Radio Gaga, we all know the Live Aid version, which is like probably the greatest live performance any band has ever done. And they threw Radio Gaga in the set there. One of the best audience participation.
Oh, yes.
Ever. And also just like, it's got a really sad nostalgic twinge about it. It's Freddie saying like, gosh, like, we had to use our imagination and our ears for our escapism when we were kids growing up. And now it's like, what's video going to do? Is it going to take it all away? What would he think now?
Oh God.
Like,
yeah. Cell phones, smartphones, video games, Twitch, YouTube.
Tear It Up is almost like Brian May, like getting all of his frustration at like
Yep.
the amount of guitar he was allowed to play on Hot Space out in about 4 minutes. It's a ripper.
That's a
It
great.
was in the Magic Tour. It reminds me a little bit of Liar from the first record. Yeah, that's him saying, "Okay, Guitar Queen is back."
Yes, sir.
It's a hard life. It reminds me of Play the Game a little bit. It's really beautiful singing from Freddie.
Yep.
Men on the Prowl. I can't remember how that goes right now. I'm going to skip over that. Machines has got some pretty interesting synth noises. I guess
it does.
Messing around with a vocoder in the studio. I Want to Break Free. It's a brilliant song. It doesn't have a guitar solo on the studio version. The live versions, Brian plays a guitar solo, but on the record, it's a synth solo. Brian keeps more or less the same tune for his live solos and then just like rips at the end and takes it off somewhere else. Keep Passing the Open Windows. It's a very 80s song.
Yeah, it is. I said that same thing.
Hammer to Fall is a really fucking great rocker. There's been lots of really cool live versions of that. They played that at Live Aid as well. I really like the version that Brian took out with his solo band and then later used with Paul Rodgers, where he kind of plays the first verse and chorus clean electric with unaccompanied, then it kicks in for the second verse. But yeah, that's a really great rocking song. The lyrics are very thought-provoking as well. The whole like we who grew up tall and proud in the shadow of the mushroom cloud, what the hell are we fighting for?
Well, that was very much in '84.
Yeah,
Détente hadn't happened yet. The Gorbachev hadn't yet. Russia was still Russia.
Yeah,
and hadn't split into, well, now Putin's basically. I mean, it was still very much a worry, dude. You were just a baby then, but that was a very much a thing we thought about. Now, was it something that our everyday life was run by? No, it wasn't like that, but it still was a very ever-present possibility because there were two superpowers and China was kind of number 3. And they were dangerous because they had nuclear weapons and they were aligned with Russia. And, everybody else that was a free nation was aligned with us. But yeah, dude, very, 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 very cogent stuff,
Yeah, and it feels like, I don't know, I listen to that song now and it doesn't feel out of date.
Which song you're talking about? Is This World We Created?
I was talking about Hammer to Fall, but is this the world?
Hammer to Fall. Yeah, absolutely.
Is This the World We Created? I think I read somewhere they played that as an encore at Live Aid, like just Freddie and Brian acoustic. Maybe it was backstage or something. And it's a really beautiful ballad. Like Queen started doing more of these kind of conscientious, reflective ballads as they got further into their career. This is the first of them, I would say. It's a really pretty song. And
it's just beautiful.
It's a very deep and somber way to finish an album that starts off with like Radio Gaga, which actually, I don't know. Like there is a lot of. The more I think about it, actually, lyrically, this is quite a sad and reflective album. Even if musically it's quite upbeat in places and like major keys and stuff. Okay. Yeah, I think it's a good one. This, I think it's after Hot Space. It's definitely the album they needed to make.
Shit, what's going on here? Hang on, dude.
I don't know. My cat's shouting at me. What's wrong, baby?
Wait, what happened to my notes? Oh, son of a bitch, dude.
What's happened?
I fear I may have actually gotten rid of my notes. Hold on. I don't see. Just give me a minute. Okay, hang on. I'm going to resend them. I don't see them. I don't know where they. Or did I go into a different box? Did I go to a different box there? What the fuck? I'm sorry. I clicked on something and I lost my notes. And there's no way I can. There's no way I can remember.
Where you going, buddy?
Bear with me.
Where you going, buddy?
Oh, man. Not happy.
No, he's pissed.
All right. Give me 1 second, dude.
Where are you going?
Because I must have accidentally deleted my notes when I was trying to move something around here. All right. And I need those because there's no way I mean, yes, I can comment on stuff, but there we go. All right. Give me one moment here. Okay, go down, go down, go down, go down, go down, go down, go down. Sorry about this, peoples. All right, here we go. The works. So, Radio Gaga. Oh, I'm gonna take you off of Spotlight, and we'll do this. And yeah, Radio Gaga. I love this song. I was a senior in high school when this came out, and I will not ever shake the nostalgia of this album. I love it to death. Even though the samples and synths are kind of weak sauce now, when you listen back, it's very 80s sounding. Obviously, the drum production's a little better. The samples are a little better, but not a lot. But like you said, Brian May comes roaring back because he didn't play a whole lot of guitar. The kind of Brian May guitar we want to hear, anyways, on Hot Space. Wasn't a lot there. He was probably playing a lot of keyboards, I'd imagine.
I'm just getting wasted.
We're getting hammered, yeah. Well, he was also going through, I believe, a divorce. No, the divorce is coming up. But Tear It Up, the rock. This is the heavy rocker on the album. Heavy as balls for Queen. At this point, Brian May slams. Great tune and playing on it. The fake hand claps and synth drums are so much of the era, but you know, so what? It's a Hard Life. Another great Freddie ballad. Man on the Prowl. That's Freddie's campy song, right?
Yeah.
Meh, that one I'm not really crazy about. And actually, it reminds me a lot of Crazy Little Thing called Love Part 2.
Interesting.
Machines Are Back to Humans, very 80s subject matter and beats and synths, but kind of cool with the vocoder. Solid track despite the lame synths and drum percussion. I Want to Break Free, a track I'd love to hate, not for those reasons, just because I've heard it so much. But I can't and don't, and I love it, so there. Keep Passing Open Windows, not a bad track, but a bit cheesy with topical material. Love Is All You Need, Love Is All You Need, blah, 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 blah. It's not a bad track. Reminds me of Joe Jackson. Do you know Joe Jackson?
Yeah, I think so. I've heard some stuff.
Yeah, he did like Stepping Out. Stepping Out Tonight. Anyways, Hammer to Fall, heavy rocker, great power chords, very guitar heavy, very memorable verse and chords, and the vocals are killer on that track. And man, is this the world we created? Wow, just a beautiful ballad in the vein, talking about the world famine issue. The Bob Geldof Feed the World stuff came out right around this time. This is such a goddamn good song. So beautiful. Make no apologies for absolutely loving that. The production is super 80s, but I don't care. This is an 8 out of 10, 8.5 out of 10 all day. Fuck the haters. Kind of magic.
8.3 for me.
8.3. All right. You're close. You're close. And OG. I'll sell it to the first person that wants to give me $100 though. I'm a decent guy. I'll do that, right? All right, I'm kind of magic. You had this one, right?
I thought I did, but I don't.
Yeah, you did. That's right. We talked about that. So let me.
Really weird. I was pretty sure I did have this album at some point, but I can't find it. I couldn't find it in my records earlier, and it's not on my Discogs page. So like.
Yeah, I need to get this one. This one I think I kind of would like to have. I didn't realize it's pretty good. It's not essential, but it's pretty good. What say thee, sir?
It's got One Vision, I think, is a really great Queen song. And I think one of the reasons I love it so much is one of the first Queen albums I had was Live Magic, which is from their final ever tour in 86, which was the tour for this album. Also the Live at Wembley 1986 video and DVD. It kicks off with One Vision. I think they actually wrote the song after doing Live Aid. And I can kind of see why, after the experience of playing to that Wembley crowd, they're like, what would be the perfect song to start a show with in front of these guys? Right. Like the guys are saying in the comments, Highlander, unofficially, this was kind of like the soundtrack to Highlander. That's the final song on the album, Princes of the Universe. That is all up in the beginning of Highlander. The other songs I really like on this album are the title track, It's a Kind of Magic. Friends Will Be Friends, I think, is a really sweet song. And track 2 on side 2, I think, is one of Queen's very best songs, which is a Brian May tune called Who Wants to Live Forever.
Dude, that song. Is that the one you were talking about? It has one of your favorite songs?
It's one of them, yeah, definitely.
Oh. You said this album has one of your absolute favorite songs.
Yeah,
is that the song?
And what I would say is, if anyone's in any doubt whether Adam Lambert is the right guy to be playing with Roger and Brian now, I would encourage you to look at a live version of Who Wants to Live Forever from the Isle of Wight festival a few years ago. It is spine-tingling, the vocal performance on that.
Where's that one again, Tom? I'm sorry.
It's on YouTube. It's from the Isle of Wight festival.
Okay.
Yeah, the same place that like Hendrix played in the 60s. They still do a festival there, and Queen headlined it about sometime in the last 10 years. I can't remember.
Okay.
Exactly.
And you're saying that Lambert sings it or Brian May does?
Lambert.
Okay, wow.
Unbelievable version of it. That guy's singing is out of this world.
He's amazing. I'm not going to deny it. It's tough for me. It's tough for me to get into it without Freddie. He's like,
of course, yeah.
You know, there's a lot of those bands that, you know, for example, I'm a massive Alice in Chains fan. I got to see Lane Staley in 1990. Not a lot of people can say that. You know what I mean? Like if they're not,
I was like 7 years old.
Yeah, if they're not old like me, they don't know. I saw Chris Cornell in his prime and got to hang out with him backstage during Loud Love Tour when they're opening for Voivod. Just crazy shit like that. But there are a couple singers you just can't replace. For example, Soundgarden. There's a couple guys who could do it. Richie Kotzen could do it. He's very Chris Cornellish. The guy, do you know Ian Thornley? You got to know Ian Thornley, right?
Who?
Ian Thornley from Big Wreck.
No, not at all.
Okay, Tom. I'm going to be schooling you tomorrow on Big Wreck, dude, and you're going to thank me forever. You want to talk about a guitarist that's going to blow your goddamn mind? That guy is it. But he sings just like he's got Chris Cornell's vocal chops, man.
I really hate Chris Cornell singing, man. Like,
do you really?
Yeah, I can't stand it.
Wow.
Same with Kotzen as well. Like, I just hate that style of singing. It just reminds me of, like, I don't know, like a lot of that 90s American rock singing, like the Pearl Jam thing as well. I can't stand it.
Yeah, I get the Pearl Jam thing, but not Cornell, dude. I'm sorry. He's probably my favorite vocalist of all time.
I saw him live a few times, and he was terrible every time. I saw Temple of the Dog, and I saw Soundgarden, and he was flat, and it didn't sound like he had any energy, and I was pretty disappointed.
When was this?
When they were formed in like 2013 or 14, Soundgarden.
Yeah,
14. 2016.
Wow, dude. I kind of fucked up on that Temple of the Dog thing. There was a lot of weird shit I was going through at that point in time. Didn't go. But I saw him on Loud Love when he was just incendiary. And then I also saw him on Super Unknown twice. Wow, I'm stunned by that. Wow, okay. You know what? That's cool. I got it. You know, but I think Chris is way different than like Eddie and Creed.
Oh yeah, he's different. I just hate that sound.
Okay, that's cool.
I don't like the songs. I don't like how he sounds. Like, it's not
interesting.
For me.
Do you like Alice?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I got to tell you, man, maybe one of the most powerful vocal performances I've ever seen was Lane Staley on Facelift. It was mind fucking bending how just amazing he sounded. And you know, part of his deal was Jerry too. I mean, Jerry had a lot to do with that, but we should move on.
Remember I'm a guitar player who's fascinated with guitar, and like especially bluesy kind of stuff. Like for me, Cantrell is the thing I like most about Alice in Chains.
No, he's
Soundgarden, like Kim Taylor's much more of like, I don't know, man. That style just doesn't jive with me at all. It doesn't do much for me.
I get it. I mean, they played a lot and dropped D a lot of.
I've had lots of people tell me I'm wrong, and lots of people tell me what to go and listen to, and I have. And I'm just like, yeah.
I'm not going to try and change your mind. If you don't enjoy it, you don't enjoy it. I mean, you know. But here's the thing. I do want you to check some Thornley out. I'm going to send you a couple clips you got to check out. Maybe you won't dig him. I think you'll dig his playing. I think you'll be blown away by his playing. But maybe because of the vocals, you won't like it as much. I don't know. What do you think about Kotzen as a player, though, as a guitarist?
Yeah, he's very good.
No. All right, we'll move on here because we got 3 to go quick, and I don't have a lot to say about 2 of them, and 1 I have a lot to say about, so we'll move.
Do you have a score for A Kind of Magic?
Oh yeah. I didn't even. Damn, I didn't do it. Hang on.
Talk about the songs.
Yeah, One Vision, great rocker, movie theme track. Drums sound like ass, but that's the '80s production. The guy airs are still heavy. Guitars are still heavy. And Brian May rips. Kind of Magic. Want to hate it, but can't. Impossible. Not a major fave Queen track, though. 1 Year of Love, again. Want to hate it, but it's a good song. A bit limp overall, and Freddie goes a little weird with his vocal histrionics. It's not a favorite. Friends Will Be Friends. Great guitar by May. A bit of a ballad with some heaviness to it. The chorus is catchy. I really like this song. Who Wants to Live Forever? One of the most amazing songs ever written. Just so incredibly amazing. The dual vocals between May and Mercury, just mind-blowing. The final Who Wants to Live Forever by Freddie, just epicer than epic. Did you catch that? Epicer than epic.
An epic. Yes.
Oh no, it says just epicer than the most epic thing that could ever be epic. That's what I see. That's a Jeff Kiefer review right there.
Put it on the hype sticker, yeah.
I should. That should be a hype sticker. This song means a lot to me these days for a lot of obvious reasons. Given my current situation, yeah, I want to live forever. I'm just saying that straight up. Give Me the Prize. Eddie Van May. Is Eddie Van Halen playing that, or is that Brian?
It's Brian. Actually, that's something I forgot to say about It's Late. Brian May does a finger tapping solo on that 2 years before the first Van Halen album came out.
That's right.
And him and Eddie were great friends. They
were good friends. They did. Didn't they do an album or something together? Like a project?
Starfleet.
That's it. Yeah. It's not very memorable though to my.
No, it's quite hard to find now. The only place I could find it online was on YouTube. It's
okay.
I'd love to have been in the room and like hung out with them, like May and Van Halen. Are you kidding me?
Yeah, they were great friends, and we all know that Eddie did not invent tapping.
No.
And actually, neither did Brian May. It goes all the way back.
There's black and white videos of people doing it in like the 50s and stuff. Yeah.
54 was a guy I think that really did like the real tapping on the guitar. But you're right, even going back into the 20s and shit. Princess of the Universe, not bad, kind of boring. The more I think about this, I missed one. Don't Lose Your Head. Very 80s sounding track. Cool track nonetheless. Like Freddie's vocal. I like Freddie's vocals on that. Oh, Give Me the Prize was Eddie Van May ripping it up. Believe that's all May, but sounds like EVH. Not a bad, although I don't love Freddie's voice on that one. It sounds a little ragged, and the drum sound and all that. The drums. There are drum sounds from the 80s I love, and then there are a lot of drum sounds from the 80s I fucking hate. Prince of the Universe, not a bad track, kind of boring. The more I think about this, dude, I don't think I've ever seen the Highlander, like the whole movie. I've seen bits and pieces, weirdly. Since this was basically a soundtrack to the Highlander, it often feels that way. I like a lot of it, but some of it is just meh. It has one monster track and 3 or 4 really good ones, but isn't one I ever felt I had to buy. I gave it a 6.75. What'd you give it?
I gave it 8.4 just because I think One Vision, Kind of Magic, Friends Will Be Friends, and He Wants to Live Forever are very, very strong songs.
Yeah, I mean, Who Wants to Live Forever, I want to give it a lot more just for that alone, but I can't. Yeah, 7 would be about as high as I'd travel on that one. All right, The Miracle. We ready for that one?
Yeah, this is when they knew Freddie was going to die.
Yep. Well, he found out in 87.
Yeah, they'd stopped touring. They weren't making public appearances anymore. Like the band would never play live with Freddie again.
Right.
They recorded it between January 88 and January 89, split between London and Montreux in Switzerland. Produced by a guy called Dave Richards, along with Queen. Came out on Parlophone and Capitol in the UK and US respectively. Finally released 22nd of May 1989.
Yeah, and this will show you.
The band was going through some shit when this happened. Like Brian May was just getting.
Yeah, he was going through a divorce. You see that? There's the price, $15.98 for a CD back then.
Yeah, man. No wonder everyone started downloading it as soon as they could.
And I was gonna say, and you wonder why record companies basically went the fuck out of business. Kind of.
I remember like a double album was like £25 when I was growing up. I was spending that on
crazy.
That's insanity.
Crazy. What you got to say about this one, man? I don't have a lot of good stuff to say.
I Want It All. I think that song is brilliant.
Which one?
I Want It All.
Oh, killer track.
Interestingly about this song, the verse and the chorus have the same chords. That does not happen very often.
What is it? Let me think. What is it?
It's B minor, A, B minor, G, D with an F sharp and a bass, G, A, G, A, B minor, A.
I'll have to figure that out when I'm not.
Yeah, that's got some of it's got an insane Brian May guitar solo on it. I think there was a single version, but I miss out the fast bit, which I think for a long time that was the only version I had. And I was annoyed because I knew I'd heard a version that had like a really ripping fast section. So I was very happy that I finally got that.
That is one of Queen's best songs ever on an album that is one of their worst, in my opinion.
Yeah, I don't like any of the other songs on this album. Like The Miracle, okay, I guess. Like,
which one?
The Miracle, The Invisible Man's interesting. You know, none of it sounds bad, but I don't love the material.
Yeah, this was the album recorded after Freddie found out he had AIDS. They didn't tour again. Also, last album that they actually had a photo on the cover of them for, because they didn't have it on Innuendo and they didn't have one on Made in Heaven, which was a posthumous album. The Party, some great guitar bits, sounds super 80s, really dated and not in a good way. Khashoggi's Ship, which was apparently about one of those really super rich fucking Greek shipping magnates, a friend of Freddie's, and these crazy fucking parties they would have, cocaine, booze, drugs, a lot of probably sex between a lot of different partners. The lyrics are all about getting laid and partying, and I assume that means drugs and booze and probably gay sex as well, as Freddie was notoriously very promiscuous.
Yep.
Back before this, then which led to his HIV infection. A pretty meh track. The Miracle's not bad. It's okay. It's kind of cheesy. Kind of sounds like a soundtrack, but it's a nice enough song. I don't love it though. I Want It All, crushing killer track by May. Only the awful drums and percussion make it suffer a little bit. The solos and fills are monstrous. Favorite track on this, one of my favorite Queen tracks of all time. Invisible Man, I'm not on there with you, man. It's not a good song. Bad, cheesy. Breakthrough, what do I say? Boho rap, Bohemian Rhapsody, vocal arrangements, but then it goes into a gnarly, terrible 80s game track sounding, video game track sounding, synth and keys, terrible. Rain Must Fall, man, the drums and sample percussion and synth are all cringe. Yes, there's blows. There's a part where Freddie says, "Be cool now." No, Freddie, this was not cool at all. Scandal. I like Scandal. That's got a really memorable vocal line. It's cheesy. The lyrics are very much about the paparazzi following him around, because in this period of time, man, this was the beginning of paparazzi, the mid to late 80s, when people suddenly had cameras, they had access. There was a lot of, TV started to be a 24-hour thing, 24-hour news cycle started, and suddenly these people are chasing people around. And you have like the Diana thing happens, obviously. I think that was around 90.
They were chasing her around like much earlier. She died in 97.
97, okay.
Yeah, the British press are fucking pieces of shit, man.
Well, it's no different in the United States, dude. They were and still are awful. But what do we got here? I like the lyrics on this one because he's talking a lot about what he's experiencing through this. People trying to write these headlines about him being ill, and he was hiding it, but he finally did have to kind of come clean, essentially. My Baby Does Me Good. I like the guitar licks on it, but the lyrics and vocals are lazy and weird given what we know about this time with him. Was It All Worth It? Not a bad track. Kind of maybe Freddie is analyzing his situation. The synths are really terribly kind of cheesy, though the backing vocals by the female singers really weird. I give this a 4 out of 10. Not worth buying, to be honest, unless you really find it for a couple bucks.
I gave it 7.
Did you really?
Like a high number, yeah.
Were you high when you did that, or?
No, not at all. Been very sober for quite a long time.
That's right. You 2 years, right?
Yeah. I think Was It All Worth It? I saw a video on YouTube the other day, which was like a kind of like compilation, like it was like an autobiographical history of the whole of Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Like Was It All Worth It? Was something that happens more and more on this album and the next two, is that like Freddie obviously looking back and the band looking back,
right,
realizing that there's more behind them than there is ahead.
Yeah, there's
Like, was it all worth it? It's pretty good for this album, and that video especially is a bit more charm because
it is. And like I said, that's one of the songs. Not a bad track. There's really only, in my opinion, 3 songs that I could, if I made a mixtape off this, there's only 3 songs I'd think of using.
So Scandal, I Want It All, and Was It All Worth It?
Yeah. Yep. Scandal, I Want It All, and Was It Worth It? Those. So right there, that's a 3 if I go by tracks. And then I kind of give it a little bit of an extra one for a little bit like, what was it called? The one, The Miracle. The Miracle.
Yeah.
It's kind of lame, but it's one of the better tracks. I mean, just there's so much. This is 1989, by the way, right? And this comes out, and dude, there is just so much like early 80s sound on this. You'd think with their budget they'd do better. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess the problem a lot of the bands had back then is that they were being very adventurous with the equipment that was available to them. It was state of the art. They didn't know at the time that it was going to become kind of obsolete and dated as quickly as it did. Like,
True.
They were trying to be cutting edge. They were trying to use the most like advanced equipment that they had available.
But things were moving so quickly as far as technology.
Yeah, like those horrible drum sounds you're talking about, they didn't exist anymore by like 91 or 92.
Exactly. Yep. All that MIDI stuff. I remember Neil Peart using the electronic kit on Grace Under Pressure. And there's an example of where it kind of sounds pretty cool because of the really, Alex went for a really cold and clinical sounding guitar tone. Geddy's synths were icy sound. It's a very alien sounding album. And they took influence from like the Police and some reggae and stuff like that in there. And that's, that one it works on. But man, a lot of that stuff just does not work very well. Sisters of Mercy being an example.
Oh, yeah.
Just that drum machine is just so bad, All right, we ready for this one? We'll get wrapped up here in 3 hours.
Innuendo. Yes, recorded between 89 and 90 while Freddie was dying. Released 4th of February 1991. They recorded it between London and Montreux again. The first studio album to be released by Hollywood Records in the United States.
It is. Produced
by Dave Richards along with the band. Yeah, Freddie was really ill at this stage. And it's kind of really that they managed to make
this is the best they did. Artist renderings with partial bits of their face, kind of in I guess an early computerized graphic, something like that. I think mention does it make?
Hang on a second, I'll be back.
I'm sorry. Oh, okay.
Hang on, my cat's
sort this out. Here's another picture, actually.
I just got to put a surgical suit back on my cat because he's got a wound I've got to be protecting.
Okay, go for it. So here's a picture of them, and you can really tell, the lighting and the way they're standing. Freddie's extremely gaunt, and then if you see the video for I'm Going Slightly Mad, he looks really rough. He's very, very ill looking, and very, very tragic to see him like that. But not just him. I mean, I've watched some documentaries about HIV victims and patients, and there's a really good one out there. I can't remember the name of it, about two guys that died together, essentially. One took care of the other, and it's just fucking tragic to watch. It's just, man, it's just tough. Yeah, so this album, you want to go first?
Yeah, it doesn't mean as much to me as it does to you, definitely. I've not listened to it a huge amount. The songs I really love on it are the 2 most famous ones, I guess. These Are the Days of Our Lives and The Show Must Go On. It's a very sad album. It's incredibly sad, especially These Are the Days of Our Lives is one of the saddest songs I've ever heard. No. And the fact that Freddie was able to sing The Show Must Go On with his full range.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean, keep in mind, this is 91, so I don't think auto-tune was around like we think of auto-tune now. There was probably EQing and, potentially compressors and obviously reverb and delay. When was auto-tune made? Can you pull that up a sec?
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think auto-tune was around back then for this. So,
No, I'm sure he sang it. You know, like, it was probably the only thing he was able to do that week.
yeah, and they do that. They would have him in for a couple of hours, and then he would not come in. And that's why it took quite a long to get this out. It was actually supposed to come out in December, and it didn't come out. Would you say it came out? When was it?
February 91.
Yeah, it was about 3 months behind. They wanted to get it out the end of November, early December, and they weren't able to do that because he couldn't wrap it up.
Sorry, James has just said something I completely missed. Yes, I do love the cat song, Delilah. Delilah is beautiful.
Meow.
Yeah, that is a beautiful, beautiful song. Yeah.
All right. So what do you give this?
7.25.
That's not bad for an album you haven't spent much time with. I'm gonna suggest spending a little more time with this. Just
I listened to it again today, and yeah, I've got to say at least half the album just passed me straight by. Stuff like Headlong is just like so by numbers to me.
Wow. Holy shit. All right, so I'll jump in. Innuendo, killer track. This is kind of like Prophet Song or White Man, or it's like that big sort of epically father to son. It's just that epic track. Steve Howe plays on it, plays some nylon acoustic in the kind of breakdown section.
Yeah.
Freddie sounds amazing on this song. To think he was within a few months of dying is mind-blowing. The Spanish flamenco section is badass, led by Steve Howe on it. This track just blows my mind. It's an amazing proggy rock, hard rock monster, and it just harkens back to the early Queen albums. And they do it all in 6.5 minutes. Just a badass track and a favorite Queen song for me. I'm going slightly mad. If anybody watched my short today, I loved it. Yes, it's a little off on the timing. I didn't have a lot of time to spend trying to get it right, and I should have pulled the lyrics out, and I didn't, but I thought it was fucking creatively genius, of course. I'm going slightly mad. Super eerie, creepy, cool, vibey song. The video finally shows off how sick Freddie really was. Heartbreaking to see him. I love that song. Love that song. Love the keyboards on it. Love it. Headlong, Ripper, and May's guitar sounds savage as hell on this song. Lyrics are silly, but it's such a badass tune. Surprised you don't like that one a lot.
Headlong, it's okay.
I can't live with you, but I can't live without you. Great. That's it. That one's a kind of an arena rocker sort of sound. It's got that hook. So good. Riffy section there is really cool on it. I love it. Don't Try So Hard. What a ballad, man. Oh, don't try so hard. Lyrically, so sad, man. So fucking sad. Ride the Wild Wind, kind of an 80s sounding track, but it has some really cool guitar solos in it. Sounds like a theme song for an 80s movie. But I love 80s movies, so I kind of dig that one. The chorus is sappy, but damn sweet. All God's People. The stacked vocals are crazy on this one. Probably my least favorite track on the album, and one that I detract points for. The religious lyrics must have been on Freddie's mind, possibly looking for salvation. I don't know. Worst song on the album. These are the days of our lives. Lyrics are so poignant. Freddie saying goodbye to those he loved and who loved him. It's a beautiful song. It makes me happy and sad at the same time, to be honest. Love is all that matters in the end. Killer solo by May on this song. Killer solo on that song. Delilah about Freddie's cat. So good. And that solo by May. Love it. Hitman Slade. Oh, I love that song.
This one is pretty good. Yeah. That's got a nice riff.
That's a ripper. And you know who wrote that? Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
Freddie wrote it on the piano. Because I'm the hitman.
F sharp minor is my favorite key.
Is it F sharp minor?
I believe so. Yeah.
Oh, really? I have to fuck around with
that. Down, I think that
it probably is. I was gonna say I think I'm out of tune on that because sometimes I just pick up my guitar and whatever the E's in, I tune the rest of the guitar too.
Yeah.
Just so I can riff a little bit, you know. Bijou was about a bird that Brian May's mom had. Budgie. And you know what a budgie is, right?
A budgie guy, yes.
A budgie is a 3-piece band from the 70s.
Yeah, Buck Shelley, yeah.
Love Budgie, man. Love some Budgie. So atmospheric, killer playing on this, dude. the tone of those lead sections where he's doing that. La, 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 la. Oh, it's so beautiful. I love that song. Gorgeous, atmospheric. That tone is incredible. The show must go on. There's no words for this song. There's no words for that song. It's something otherworldly to me. It's Freddie saying goodbye, but also saying life has to carry on to his band members, his fans, his friends, his family, and the other thing is he's saying go for it in life because there's no promises or guarantees. It's a perfect song. It's a fucking perfect song. Freddie didn't write it. Brian wrote most of the music. And then they collabed on the vocal or the lyrical approach, and it was very much those two going, let's let you say goodbye. And every time I hear that song, especially when he hits that, I shouldn't try it. I better not try it. When he hits that high, the show must go on, and it's higher than that quite a bit. Dude, it fucking puts chills in me, man. It makes me shiver inside from just how beautiful the song is, how amazing his voice was, what an incredible talent he was. And yeah, this is a 9.75 for me. Close to 10.
The last Freddie song on a Queen album as well. What a way to go out.
Yeah. Well, the last real song that wasn't pieced together by the band on the last
song finished while he was still alive. Yeah.
Right. And I mean, everybody talks. We never talk about John Deacon because he's kind of the silent, quiet guy, and he kind of disappeared and retired and didn't really do a whole lot with the band. But this was 4 really special fucking human beings as far as musicians. Brian, we've sung the praises of, and Roger was like the backbone of the metal part of, the heavy rocker part of Queen, other than Brian's guitar. But, and that voice of Roger, insane. And Freddie could do everything. He was the epitome of the front man, but he could bang out incredible tunes on the piano. I imagine he probably played guitar. I would be shocked if he didn't.
Yeah, he played guitar on stage.
Did he? Oh, that's right. He was doing the acoustic for a Crazy Little Thing Called Love. And yeah. So, I mean, he was probably a chordal guy, but he was still doing it. And just incredible, man. Only the 80s production bothers me. The late 80s production bothers me a tiny little bit. And again, I say this often, it's my favorite album from Queen to throw on regularly. Almost always when I grab Queen, it's this album. Wow. It just is. And we also didn't talk about the artwork on this one, which was done from these 1800. I don't know whether they were colored and then they were inked in or what, but Grenville was the name of the guy that did them. Made in Heaven, real quick, for the last one.
Yeah, I like this one more than Innuendo.
Wow. Okay, now that's really?
It's got better songs, yeah.
Oh my God, it's so full of cheesy 80s synths, man. To me.
And all the 80s albums are.
Although, when did this come out? 95 then. But I guess a lot of it was written in the early 90s, late 80s.
I think the production's a lot better on this. I think some of the songs are incredibly strong as well, like Made in Heaven, Let Me Live, Mother Love, I Was Born to Love You, Heaven for Everyone, Too Much Love Will Kill You, You Don't Fool Me. I think those are all really, really good songs.
Man, you're not going to like my review much then, but what was the date on this one here?
So the date on this one is it was recorded, it says recorded between 1980 and 1995.
Right. So a lot of pieced together stuff.
Well, obviously, yeah, because Freddie was dead.
And that's a statue. I always thought that was actually Freddie, and then I read about it. I'm like, no, that's a statue that was in Montreux.
Yeah, that's in Montreux. Yeah, the band's own studio. They owned it.
They own that, right? Okay. Does the thing to note about this is that Freddie was doing as much vocal stuff as he possibly could prior to his death, and was telling the guys, write some songs around these vocals or fit these vocals in some way. And I guess Roger and primarily Roger and Brian did all that. I don't hate it. Let me see what I gave it. What do you give it?
7.75. I don't think it's as good as like the 70s stuff. I think it's better than. I've actually marked it lower than a lot of the other 80s albums. But I think this album is extremely unfairly maligned because it came from a place of love. Production-wise, it's finally you're getting like the four members of Queen without that shitty 80s production. Like by 95, I think they kind of dialed it in. Yes, stylistically they chose a couple of keyboard patches, like the one on Too Much Love Will Kill You. It's like, dude, that's like an 80s Casio keyboard sound.
Mm.
But I just think the material is so strong and the performances are so strong that it's forgivable. You know, you can.
I'll go back. You know, maybe I didn't give this one enough time, Tom, because I'm not hearing that. I give this a 5/5, man.
Oof.
And that's yeah. And here's what I got. It's a Beautiful Day is great. Killer track with Freddie belting out the vocals. Some really killer Brian May guitar. Only the drum sound is a little meh. Made in Heaven, another great track. Vocals are amazing. Heavier than it should be. The guitars are absolutely killer. Let Me Live is a solid ballad with Roger Taylor. I think Roger's singing on that one, right?
All three of them. Brian, Freddie, and Roger.
On that Let Me Live?
Yeah.
Okay. Mother Love, always a sucker for that compressed, clean guitar tone that they start out. I love that compressed,
heavily chorused
guitar tone. That's my Alex Lifeson stuff from the late 70s, early 80s. But the song drags a little bit. But I would agree that's probably one of the better tracks. My life has been saying, meh, not into this track. I Was Born to Love You. A little too canned sounding, too poppy, too polished.
Oh man, but the guitars on that song, my god.
You know what? Maybe I don't have anything noted there on guitar, so maybe I skip through that quick.
One of my favorite guitar solos, and also all the rhythm guitar in that is great. It's like Brian at his best for that kind of like stadium.
Well, then I'm gonna defer to your opinion. You're probably more on that one. What's the next one? What the fuck?
Heaven for Everyone. That was the lead single. That was the lead single in the UK, and it was a #1 single as well.
Well, here's what I say on that. A lot of these songs got too preachy sounding, as if they were written while Freddie was dying, and they were, and then they were trying to preach that. I don't know if Freddie suddenly found Jesus or whether he always believed. I don't know. I mean, but
it was actually a song that Roger wrote and recorded with his old band, like about 8 or 9 years earlier, and they
no kidding.
Yeah.
That's interesting. There you go. That theory's out the window.
I don't see that as an evangelical song, because the whole point is they're talking about trying to make heaven on earth by being nice to each other. Like, it's not.
That's nice.
Christian, as far as I can tell. Imagine that. Yeah,
that's a nice thought. Probably never going to happen, but it's a nice thought. Too Much Love Will Kill You. Since again are cheesy, but it's the kind of cheese that I kind of like. I do like that song a lot. That's a good tune. You Don't Fool Me. I hate to admit I like this because I like dumb 80s shit. And it's funky and driving and has a cool, I don't know what that word is, song, but it's ultimately lame overall. All those cheesy synths and the funky riffage suck. I'm confused.
I think the last 2 or 3 minutes of that, when Brian really gets going on the guitar, it's like that's what Hot Space should have sounded like.
Well, it would have been better. I agree with that. Winter's Tale, another mad track. And then what was the last song?
It's a reprise of It's a Beautiful Day.
That's right. And then they have a hidden track, a 22-minute mess.
I'd love to know what they were thinking.
It's just a bunch of shit thrown together. You know what it reminds me of? It kind of reminds me when fucking Gilmore decided to, he needed to get another Maserati or something. So they put out what's it called? The Endless River, because they wanted to pay tribute to Richard Wright. And so they put out this sort of ambient sort of flow track that, it's okay, but it's background music for the most part. This is kind of like that, only it's more annoying. It's like you just have all these clunky sort of transitions and weirdness to it. Yeah, so 5/5.
I like the Endless River a lot more than I like that Untitled track.
Oh yeah. I give you that. But
and at the end, I think Freddie says "fab" right at the end or something. Like,
what's he say?
The word "fab," as if you were a Beatle. Yeah.
No, I probably stopped listening about 10 minutes in. I'm like, what the fuck is this, man? I didn't remember it. Like I had to look on the Rate Your Music. I'm like, what is this? And then I saw that it's called Yeah, I believe, right?
I think so. There's one called Yeah. Well, I've got the thing I'm looking at says It's a Beautiful Day reprise, then Yeah, then 13/Untitled.
Oh, okay, maybe that.
Yeah, is who knows? They were just messing around. I was listening to this on a long drive over the weekend, and I was kind of imagining like this whole section being like Freddie like going on to the next place.
Ah, his transition to heaven, yeah. So
if that's where he went.
What's that?
If that's where he went, yeah.
Well, if that's where he went, yeah. I mean, maybe if he was lucky, he went to Khashoggi's ship somewhere in the other
right.
With a world where
Berlin in the early 80s.
fucking drink and smoke and get laid and do all. I mean, those are all great things if you want to do them. But I don't like you. I was sober. Well, you're sober 2 years. I got sober the first time, and for 14 years, and then I picked up again at a real mess. But I do every now and again have a beer or two, but I can't because of my illness. I can't drink at all. I don't like getting drunk. I do smoke every now and again, but not regularly. Not regularly. It's just not something that I'm that into.
Man, I got nothing. I don't even drink caffeine.
No, I do that, dude.
Vegan, gluten-free, no caffeine, no alcohol.
Yeah. You're like such a straight edge dude. What the fuck?
Straight edge hardcore, man, all the way. No, not
Tom, we did it in just under 3. What did I tell you? 2.5, I said?
I thought 2 was unrealistic, but we split the difference, and here we are.
Well, I knew 2 was not going to happen. There was just no way.
15 albums, no.
And I did keep fairly quiet, sort of.
Yeah, man. No, we did. It's fun. There's a hell of a lot of Queen. I'm definitely going to
do a whole lot of tangential bullshit. So, I want you. Let's kiss. There you go. Oh, that's so good. It's so good. Very, very nice catch. I want you though to think about the next band we can do. Because this one I think I brought up to you, didn't I?
Yeah. Well, like I was saying to you, I struggle to think of bands who have a career where I, want to talk about it.
What about XTC? Do you know XTC much?
Not a fan.
Okay, not a fan. All right.
No, like my 3 favorite bands are like Queen, Pink Floyd, and Steely Dan. We've done Steely Dan and Queen, and I don't think anyone needs to hear people talking about Pink Floyd.
Well, you know what though? Why not?
Because it's played out. I don't think there's anything new or interesting anyone can say about Pink Floyd at this stage.
It's probably true.
We can just argue about the Endless River.
You don't like King Crimson, I'm guessing, right?
Not that much. I've seen them live a few times, but I think like Red and Court of the Crimson King are really about as interested as I get.
Okay, we got to figure out a rock band that doesn't have 15 albums, one that's more in the 10 album range, so I don't keep you up too late and your wife gets angry at me.
Manic Street Preachers.
I like them, but I don't know them, and I don't own anything by them.
Oh, James is saying, Draper, you a Beatles fan? Yeah, a little bit. Definitely like Blue Album more than Red Album.
Yeah, I like the Beatles too, but I'm going to be honest with you. If Pink Floyd's played out, Beatles are really played out.
Yeah. New bands. Oh, well, I mean, the stuff I like that's new is not hard rock and metal for the most part. Like the Night Flight Orchestra, the only newest rock band that I love.
Yeah, they're cool.
I love every single album they've done. But
what about here's one, Tom. What about Toto?
Don't know their stuff very well.
Damn.
I like the first album a lot, and then I just kind of gradually lose more and more interest of each album that passes.
Damn it, dude. I fucking love their albums, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I play that song with my friends down at the local bar quite a lot. That's a good one.
Yeah. All right. So think of some bands.
Well, the Night Flight Orchestra are the one. Like that.
Well, I like that band a lot. But you have all their albums?
Yeah.
Okay. How many they have? They only have like 3 or 4, right?
I think it might be 6 or 7 by now.
Oh, is that many?
I think so.
All right. See, here's the problem. I don't know anything about them, but I can do that. If you own all of them, I can do that.
I wanted to.
You wouldn't think about. I'm sorry. Say again.
They got 6 studio albums.
Okay, that's workable. And you're not going to go ABBA on me, right? You're not going to do ABBA on me, right?
ABBA? No.
Nah, I didn't think so. Roxy Music? Nah, we talked about that.
Most of the stuff I listen to now isn't rock music, honestly. Like the stuff I really love is this dude called Mayor Hawthorne who I listen to all the time, and his side project Tuxedo. Everything Corey Wong does, I'm finding pretty interesting. Mark Lettieri is this great guitar player who I went to
I
see.
know Mark. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's fucking great.
I got one for you we could try. How about we do one of these two guys? How about we do either John Coltrane or Miles Davis?
Don't know either of them nearly well enough, and they've got like Miles Davis has got like 50 albums, hasn't he?
No, he's got 72, and then
Yeah,
if
there
you
you
count
go.
all the,
Might as well do Zappa.
if you count all, well, yeah, I was gonna say Zappa would be in that crew too. All right, well,
we can figure something out, but
yeah, let's kick around the Night Flight. Let me check some stuff out and make sure I've heard them, and I kind of liked what I heard, but I don't own anything, and I'd have to dig into them. I was thinking maybe there's an '80s band that we could do. Like, what about Tears for Fears?
I think I've got one record.
Do you like their stuff though?
It's okay.
It's okay. All right.
I've seen them live, and it was a good show. I think I saw them open for Hall & Oates a couple of times.
Oh wow, that's a good bill right there, man. The new album is really, really good. They've been away for quite a long time, but
wow, James is listing a load of British bands from the 90s and 2000s.
All right, let's see what he's got here. Quick, I want to get you out of here, but let's see.
Libertines, My Bloody Valentine, Mogwai. Yeah, it was never my thing.
Yeah, My Bloody Valentine's cool, but I'm not there.
My music taste was completely dictated by what I was trying to learn to play on guitar, and it was never that stuff.
See, Cheap Trick would be fun, but there's just too many albums. That they've got a lot more than I think more than yeah.
I only know Live at Budokan as well, so I'd be pretty useless with that.
Here's one for you. Do you like the Cult at all?
No, I really don't like the Cult.
Wow. Here's one for you. We could do this box set.
Which box set?
Well, hang on. It's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, I think. And you're gonna be like, what the fuck? Hold on, go solo, man.
Holdsworth.
The whole box set. I think there's 14 now that I think of it. Let me see.
Grief. Yeah, I think I've got one Holdsworth album, and I've got the EP that's got that tune with Jack Bruce on it.
Actually, it's 12. But
wow.
This box set, dude, no joke. I don't remember who put it out. Doesn't really matter. But this box set I got for like $70, right? And it arrived. When it arrived damaged. So they sent me another one, right? Which I ended up, and they said to keep it. They said to keep the damaged one. So I sent it to a buddy of mine. I bet she's never listened to it. But long story short on this, I don't know what it's going for now, but at one point in time, I saw it on Discogs. It was going for $700, which is insane when you think about it. Like, who would pay $700 for a fucking? But they are like, they're gatefold sleeves. They don't have inner things, so they're kind of cheap that way, but they are printed. So, and I will not lie to you, I have not listened to every album in this box set.
Alan Holdsworth is like, you have to have it in small doses, really. It's pretty intense stuff.
Yeah, you get overwhelmed by it.
I've got
listen, I want to get you out of here because it's been 3 hours. And I want to thank you very much for hanging out with me tonight.
Oh man, thanks for doing it again. It's been fun.
Yeah, these are good. These are good times, man. I mean, they're I don't know if your wife watches them.
No.
No interest in it.
No, she is totally over having any kind of interest in anything I do at this stage. We just
Okay. Well, I was just gonna say though, I mean, like she's probably like, God, that guy says fuck a lot. Which
so
I do.
Rude, so vulgar. I hope my mom doesn't watch it. That'd be even worse.
Yeah, that would be worse. Just say, Mom, I talked to him before. He's just a cretin. He's an old man, and he's a cretin too. But anyways, thanks to everybody that hung out. We had at one point in time we had 12 people, which is cool. Kind of tough on a weeknight. A lot of guys got to get up and I'm not into the Suede. I'm not into the Blur. You like the Chameleons?
Who?
The Chameleons?
Never heard of them. I did see. I saw Blur lots of times when I was younger. They were my favorite band when I was like 14. They definitely lost me.
I got one. You're gonna say you don't like them. The Mission UK.
I think I've listened to them, but I really don't know.
Okay.
Hang on a second. I've got the cat back.
What's that?
Yeah, the cat
Oh,
came back.
Your dude's what's it? Why has he got the suit on?
He's got a wound on his back that has not healed properly.
Oh.
Every time he licks the scab, it starts bleeding again, and it's been going on for months.
Okay. Hey, look who shows up late. Fucking Nick. Are you kidding me, dude? You lazy son of a bitch. Nick, if you want to get together and hang out after, I'll throw something together. Maybe we can pull a couple people in. But I got to get Tom out of here because he's got to get him go to work. Tom, thank you so much. You're awesome. I love it. And dude, I only have an acoustic guitar. I had to sell all my electric stuff. But you got to give me a lesson.
Sure, man. What do you want to learn? You sound like you're good there.
What's that?
Sound like you're shredding a bit there. You're good.
I can play, dude. I can play. I'm not. I don't think I'm quite on your level because I think you're much better than you say you are. I think you're really, really, really good guitarist. Because like when I bring up like Josh, you're always like, oh God. And Josh is amazing. For 26 years old, he's mind blowing.
Yeah.
But Josh does kind of play in one sort of style. You know what I mean? And I'm not a sweeper. I don't really see you sweep much either. Like I struggle with sweeping.
I can do a 3-string sweep. I can go.
That's me too, dude. That's me too. Exactly. A triad.
It's shit. Yeah, I don't like it. I try not to do it very often.
Which Les Paul is that?
It's a skinny one.
Oh, those are nice, dude. What year is that?
2000. What does it say on the back of the neck? 2016. It's the main one I use with Spirit Adrift because it doesn't weigh very much and it looks cool and it's got Bill Steers custom humbuckers in it, so it sounds good.
What tuning you guys playing?
Drop B.
Drop B.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, shit, that's low, dude.
It's in E flat right now, but I use the same strings. I just wind it down and have the.
So wait, you're an A sharp? Is that what you're saying? Oh no, drop B. It's B standard with the B drop down to
no,
what?
It's C sharp standard with the bottom C sharp drop to B.
Oh, okay. So it's C. All right, gotcha.
Yeah, this actually that guitar's in E flat right now, but I do have another one which is in drop B, which is this one. Yeah, this is drop B. So your A sounds like an F sharp.
Oh, geez. Right. Okay. So you're doing a lot of bars though on the top three.
It depends on what songs we're playing. I think in the set list we're planning for this year, maybe 3 or 4 of the songs are in standard and the rest of them are in drop.
Shit, so, that's low, dude. I was talking to Greg Chandler from Esoteric, and I know they're super detuned, and he's like, "Yeah, we're in B flat dropped."
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, so not C, they're in B, and then they drop the low string. Do you have to set your guitar up differently though because of the strings? And you don't change the string gauge. You don't go heavier.
No. I like having the strings when you. Cause these would be. I think it's 10 to 50. No, it's not 10 to 52. Yeah, it's 10 to 52. It's a skinny top, heavy bottom. If I'm playing in standard, I'll just tune them up, and if I'm playing in this tuning, I'll just tune them down. It seems to work. I take them to get set up once or twice a year, normally after a tour when they're pretty beat up.
Man, that's crazy. My kid has a baritone. He just got one of those Mark Holcomb PRSs, and they're really nice for the money. They're super nice. They're like because I sold my custom 22, my 04. If I told you what I bought that for and what I sold it for, you'd just be sick. Because when I think about it, I'm sick. But I needed the money bad because of shit that was going on, you know. And yeah, we'll jam one night, and it'd be nice if I had. Where's your Kemper? Is that in your room there?
It's in the garage right now because I got to take it to rehearsal tomorrow.
You can hear. I can play a little bit.
Yeah, man. Great. You need electric.
Well, I had them, and yeah, it would be nice. It would be nice. Maybe one of these days. I'm gonna get you out of here, dude. Thank you so much. You rule. And
Yeah, man.
take care
Thanks
of your
for
cat there, and think about another one, and we'll try to put another one together when you're back from tour. When do you go out? Tell everybody what you're doing.
Oh, I don't know. I've got a local show in Oakland with my other band, Hands of Goro, on Friday. We're playing with the Lord Weird Slaufeg. And we're going to play all the songs from our forthcoming album, which we're in the process of recording at the moment, which will be cool. Spirit Adrift has got a bunch of stuff planned for like May and June. I'm hoping we get out on the road before that, but we don't have any dates confirmed, and I have no idea if anything's happening. So we are just like waiting to find out.
Yeah, what festivals are you doing? You have 3 or 4, right?
The ones that are confirmed are something called Hell by the Harbor or something in Baltimore. That's like a death metal festival where I think we're the only clean vocal band on the bill, which will be nice. Then in Europe, we're going to be doing Hellfest, Into the Grave, Full Force, something in the south of Spain called Rock Imperium. And there's another, which I can't recall right now.
Yeah, Hellfest is you're on the same day. Are you on the same day as Porcupine Tree?
Yeah, we're on the same day as Porcupine Tree and
Same bill, right?
Monster Magnet. Yeah, I really hope that we can stick around to watch them and we're not just like shuttled off to the next place as soon as we finish playing, because obviously we're going to be, as a smaller band, we'll be quite early on the day.
Early, yeah. But Hellfest is huge, so you'll still have a lot of eyes there, anyways.
Yeah, man. I played there with Carcass about 3 or 4 years ago, and it was probably the best night of my life. So
was it scary going out in front of that many people?
No, because I figured everyone was looking at Bill and Jeff.
That's a good point. This
time will be a little different.
But I mean, dude, those fucking crowds are massive for that fest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, mind blowing, and it's mind blowing to me that Porcupine Tree, who's been away for 12 fucking years, is below Maiden on that festival. Like that's just their tour, their comeback tour, so to speak. And Steven's already talking about, well, that's it. These festival appearances.
Mm-hmm.
I think he does that just to hype shit up. But
he played Hellfest with his solo band about 3 or 4 years ago, and I'm not entirely sure how well received or excited people were about it.
Wait, he did?
Mm-hmm.
Dude, I do not remember that at all. Wow.
I guess it was 29. It must have been 2019. Yeah, I see what the set list was.
Well, that would have been for To the Bone, right?
It was To the Bone, definitely. Yes. Let me see.
Which is when he started.
He played 2018. Yeah, they did an 8-song set, which I guess is probably what like a 50-minute set or an hour.
Yeah, roughly for him. Yeah. So that would have been. I guess I don't think Guthrie was with him then. He probably would.
That would have probably been Kilminster.
Dave Kilminster.
No, it wouldn't. It'd be Alex Hutchins because it was the To the Bone tour.
Well, I thought
2018.
Kilminster wasn't on that. Oh, that's right. He pulled that Hutchins guy in. I forgot about
Alex Hutchins. Yeah, he was a good. I like that guy. He's pretty good.
You knew about the Guthrie and Marco Miniman shit that went down, right?
I know that they recorded a couple of albums and then didn't tour.
Well, Hand Cannot Erase went gold.
Yeah.
And they were never told about it, and they never got their gold albums.
That's
they found out about it later. And Marco Miniman went on Facebook and put some pretty harsh shit up there, man. Like harsh. And I met him at the second album, Grace for Drowning. Met him after that and was talking to him, and everything was cool then. They actually had John Wesley fill in because Aziz Ibrahim, this Israeli guy, he wanted to use.
Oh, he was in the Stone Roses, yeah.
Yep. He was supposed to come over and he couldn't get cleared visa-wise back in 2013. And so they called Wes up and had him come in like off the cuff, learn all these songs. And then, some of his solo stuff's not easy shit.
Yeah,
pretty complicated shit.
Luminol.
Luminol, exactly. Which they played. They played that pre-played it because it wasn't out yet. And then Kilminster came. Well, Luminol was done. That was done with Guthrie, though, in the studio, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it was a Raven song, yeah.
Yeah, and then then they did Hand Cannot Erase, but then it got weird, and they pulled in Kilminster. So, yeah, I don't know that Guthrie's ever talked about it publicly, but Guthrie's tied very deeply with Marco, because of Aristocrats.
Yeah.
And when Marco was very unhappy, I think Guthrie was like, yeah, I'm out, and they never, to my knowledge, they didn't tour over in the States at all with them.
No, as far as I can tell, Guthrie didn't do many shows at all. Like, because I've tried to find live footage on YouTube, and there's really not a lot to see.
Yeah, so weird.
Yeah,
all right, dude.
Yeah,
I'll let you out of here.
You want to talk about the Stone Roses?
Is that what was the name of their popular band or their popular album?
The Stone Roses.
They only have one album?
2 proper releases. The second was called Second Coming.
I know I listened to that Stone Roses album way back when. What year was that? Like the
89? Had I Want to Be Adored, Iron the Resurrection, Waterfall, She Bangs the Drums.
Yeah, now it's coming back to me. That's a great album. Great album. I didn't know Aziz or Ibrahim was in that though.
For the last handful of shows, John Squire quit the band, so Aziz filled in. They did a headline set at the Reading Festival where Ian Brown was off his fucking face. It was so bad that people were walking out after like a song.
No shit. Was he drunk or was he high or what was the deal?
Probably all sorts of things. He really liked pills, I think. So probably quite a bit.
Oh no.
That sort of thing.
Is he still alive?
Yeah, the band reformed and they toured. I got to finally see them. Like, the version that like ties up to the show in separate cars, kind of version of the band.
Really?
I would imagine so. Yeah, I think they very much did it for the money for a couple of years.
I need to check that album out. It's been a long time since I've done that. But I don't know if you saw it too. And then get out of here. You like No Man at all?
Bits I've heard. Yeah, there's a lot of it. I haven't heard all of it.
Okay. Tim's gonna come on.
Yeah, Tim Bowness, right?
Yep. Yeah, I've got him. I think I've got him sort of sorted out to do. And I told him up front. I said, "Hey, man, Steve and I used to be pretty close, and something weird happened, and I'm still not sure what happened, and I don't know." I said, "So I don't want you thinking I'm trying to get you to get to him. I have ways to get to him directly if I really wanted to." And
yeah, because they still do a podcast together, right?
Yeah, they do the podcast, and they're good friends, and they're. They did a No Man album in 20.
Love You to Bits. Yeah, we've got it. Yeah,
which they went back to sort of the poppy, trip hop poppy stuff, and it's better than I thought it was going to be. Only one I don't. It's the only one I don't own though. I don't have that
electro disco kind of thing.
Well, but okay, so you're really not going to like me here after I say this. You already know sort of some of my feelings, but what did you think of that last solo album?
Which one?
Wilson.
Oh, The Future Bites. I was a little disappointed initially because I wanted him to do another prog rock thing, but the more I listened to it, I kind of got into it.
Man, I can't get into that album at all. Here's the thing. He's got a ton of bonus tracks that were on like various things.
Mm-hmm.
And the bonus tracks, if you took all the bonus tracks and the couple of songs that are on the actual album that are good for me anyways, you'd have a fucking 9.5 out of 10. But it's all scattered all over the place, and the actual album itself doesn't do much for me at all.
From what I can gather about that album, it was really designed to be like a really big conceptual piece, like with visuals and like be a live show, like, and with all of that taken away, I think it fell really flat. It's because he released it during COVID and decided to just like count his losses and start on the next thing. Yeah,
put it out there. I think allegedly right now he's talking about the fact that he's got a 64-minute conceptual proggy rock sort of thing again. He's going back to it. So I forget the name of it. I saw Codex
Harmony. It's called Harmony Codex. Yeah,
that's it. Harmony Codex.
He talks about it a little bit in his book, Limited One, which I listened to the audiobook of that during my bike rides for a while last year. I think Ninette Tayeb singing on it again. That's cool because she's a great singer.
She's cool. We'll see. He mentioned me in the book. What chapter did he mention me?
Oh, I can't remember. Gosh, I don't know if I was paying that close attention.
Well, you wouldn't have known me then, so it wouldn't have stuck out.
Also, like possibly
like it would now. I mean, now if you re-listen to it, you'd be like, "Oh, he mentioned you in chapter 3 and chapter 8," but yeah. So
I'll come back with notes.
All right, dude. I'll get you out of here, man. I appreciate it. And I'll dip you out now, and then I'll finish up with the boys that are still watching. Appreciate it, Tom. Think about something, and let's do another collab then. All right, man.
You too, man. Take care. Bye, everyone in the chat.
All right. See ya. All right, guys. We're going to wrap up here in a second. Goober Patrol. Is that an actual album or band name, James? Of course it is. You would know that. Oasis, no thanks. Not a fan. Oh, I know Ned's Atomic Dustbin. I do remember them. Ride's pretty cool, actually. See, I'd love to do Peter Murphy or something like that, but I don't think Tom is that into that stuff. So I do want to do a Peter Murphy deep dive. So I don't know if we're gonna do something. I'm gonna check in with Nick and see if he wants to do a little bit of a hang. And I will see you guys later. But real quick, Bowie deep dive next Tuesday. Tomorrow night, 4:00 afternoon, tomorrow afternoon. Finishing up part 2 with Esoteric and Greg Chandler. We're doing from Disillusion forward. Yeah, Nick, I'm gonna text you in a minute. And then what else? Nick and I guess I shouldn't say this, but Nick and I'm cajoling him to do a retro review. I think that's what you call them, retro reviews or retro something, necro reviews or something like that on Metamorphogenesis. Maybe him and I and John could do that. I'm basically inviting myself onto his show, but so he may not actually do this. And what else? Oh, Yob. We're doing Yob. Logan and I are doing Yob on Sunday. You can get in on that, Nick, but you probably don't have time to do that. Yob on Sunday and retro review. That's retro review for Metamorphogenesis from Esoteric. Fucking banger. 44 minutes, not the double CD stuff. Blown away by that album when I listened to it. It's the only one I don't own. What else? I know there's a lot. Oh, Ken Mary on the 6th from Fifth Angel, Chastain, Flotsam and Jetsam. So that's going to be 11 a.m. on the 6th. I got Tim Bowness coming the week after that. Max Phelps coming the week after that. Oh, here's the big one. I forgot. I almost fucked up. I have Xander Bradley coming on from Cryptic Shift. Yes, you heard me right. Cryptic Shift. Xander Bradley. Probably going to be in about 2 weeks. Stoked for that. I love Cryptic Shift. We're going to find out what's going on with them and see if they've got some new material coming our way. And we'll go from there. So, Nick, I'm going to hit you up on text and we'll figure something out. All right. Later. See you guys. Thanks for hanging out. James, thanks for all your killer. Yeah, I didn't do any comments tonight. I'm sorry, guys. I really couldn't focus on it with everything that was going on. And my head's not very good tonight. I've had a lot of bad head days of late. This head in my head. So, all right, boys. See ya. Peace out.